Chapter 1170. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple was ranked 6th on the blood ranking and was far stronger than Yuan Huang and the others that Duge had killed. Therefore, the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple didn't take Duge Qiuma seriously at all. Princess Luoho is in trouble, but not only did you not help, you even stopped me from helping. You're really crazy. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple's eyes glinted darkly. Now was the time for him to perform. If he performed well, Princess Luoho might see him in a different light. Why didn't I know that the Molo dynasty has such a virtue as helping each other? The corner of Duge Qiuma's mouth revealed a cold and mocking smile. In a place like the Molo dynasty, there was no such thing as helping others. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple was only willing to help because he admired Princess Luoho. You're courting death. Hearing the mockery in Duge Qiuma's words, the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple's face turned extremely cold. His cultivation aura erupted, revealing that he had reached the 3rd layer of the divine dwelling. Although he wasn't as strong as Princess Luoho, Yuanhua, and the other 4th layer divine dwelling heaven prides, he wasn't weak either. Desolation Staff Art. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple waved the white bone staff in his hand. Suddenly, a chilly wind blew and black mist filled the sky. Countless staff shadows appeared and wailed like ghosts and wolves. Not only was this staff art powerful, but it also contained a soul attack. If one's mind wasn't strong enough, they would be affected, their movements would become sluggish, and their battle power would be reduced. But Duge Qiuma was different. The Soul Devourer clan's talent made his sea of consciousness extraordinary. Let alone the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple, the Soul Demon of the Mystic Demon Palace, might not be a match for Duge Qiuma. To deal with the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple, Duge Qiuma didn't even need to use the Sky Devourer's secret art. He only needed to use the Battle God Demon body. Demonic runes emerged from his skin, making Duge Qiuma look even more mysterious and demonic. He reached out with one hand and clenched the air. Yuan Devourer Explosion. A powerful black light exploded like a black star, and the powerful shockwaves collided with the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciples. Rumble. The sounds of explosions and collisions were incessant. The moment the dust rose, Duge Qiumo executed so close, yet worlds apart, and appeared in front of the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple in an instant. Then, without any fancy moves, Duge's seeking demons punched out, and at the same time, he used the evil origin puppet. Black shockwaves erupted along with this powerful punch. Although it was not as powerful as Yi Gu Chen's 2-star ancient god form, the pure demon body and the battle god demon body complemented each other, so the power was not weak either. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple was shocked, not expecting Duge to erupt with such power. He placed the white bone formation horizontally in front of his chest, erupting with the true chi of the 3rd layer of the divine dwelling stage to defend himself. But when the punch landed, there was a loud bang. The Heaven Divination Sect's disciple felt as if he had been rammed by a primordial demonic dragon. A force as heavy as Mount Tai crushed down on him, causing the bones in his arms to creak as if they were about to shatter. He retreated more than 10 steps, looking at Duge Qiumo in horror. Your physical strength. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple was astonished. Not far away, Princess Luoho, who was struggling to hold on, was also stunned. She originally thought that the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple, who was 6th on the blood ranking and 3rd layer of the divine dwelling stage, could quickly deal with Duge Qiumo and then come to her aid. But she did not expect that the situation would turn out like this. His strength. Princess Luoho's cold eyes flashed with surprise under the mask. Duge Qiumo was somewhat beyond her expectations. Damn it, the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple's face was extremely gloomy. He originally wanted to show off in front of Princess Luoho, but he had suffered such a loss. He had to get back at him. The Heaven Witchcraft Sect's true chi poured into the white bone staff, and a black mist rose from the white staff, turning into a pitch-black demonic seal that seemed to be able to suppress a part of the sky. Dark Death Seal. This was one of the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's ultimate techniques. Seeing this, Dugu Mo's devouring power erupted, and a powerful black light spread out from his body and condensed into a sinister black dragon head. It was the first level of the heaven-devouring secret art, the Black Dragon Devour. The black dragon's head opened its terrifying maw and swallowed the dark death seal into its mouth in an extremely shocking manner. How is this possible? The heaven witchcraft sect's disciple was dumbstruck, almost doubting his own life. Dugu Mo's endless methods left him incomparably astonished. But what made the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple's hair stand on end was that the black dragon had opened its mouth again, and the dark death seal rushed back at him. Damn it! Caught off guard, the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple hurriedly summoned a bone armor to defend himself, but it was still impacted, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. The bone armor was covered in cracks and shattered. It's over. Dugu Mo didn't want to delay, for he could see from the corner of his eye that Princess Luoho wouldn't be able to last much longer. If he wanted to kill the 3 golden blood devils and obtain the Azura blood pool, he would need to work with Princess Luoho, so she couldn't die. Without any hesitation, Dugu Mo raised his hand, and in a flash of black light, the God Devourer's sword wrapped in black crystals appeared. Demon 13 Swords, Vanishing Shadow. Dugu Mo's figure blurred as his sword tore through the air and slashed at the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple. The heaven witchcraft sect's disciple instantly sensed a fatal danger. Face pale, he slapped his chest and spat out a mouthful of essence blood that splashed into the void. Heaven witchcraft divine art, substitution puppet. With these words, Dugu Mo's God Devourer's sword slashed across the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple's neck. But contrary to Dugu Mo's expectations, no blood spurted out from this slash. A few seconds later, the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple was turned into a headless scarecrow. Not far away, the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple's figure appeared in the void. He didn't hesitate at all. With a panicked expression, he directly flashed away, not daring to stay for even a second. Damn it, damn it, damn it! The heaven witchcraft sect's disciple spat out blood as he fled, his intestines turning green with regret. The heaven witchcraft divine art was the heaven witchcraft sect's core cultivation method. The substitution puppet was one of its moves, allowing one to use a puppet as a substitute for death. However, it only had one chance and would cause one's vitality to be greatly damaged after using it. This was originally the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple's trump card, giving him a chance to avoid death. But now, it had been wasted on Dugu Mo's sword. Not only that, he had to flee so pathetically in front of Princess Luoho. It could be said that he had suffered a double loss. Damn it, Dugu Mo, if I have the chance in the future, I won't let you go. The heaven witchcraft sect's disciple fled with grievances and resentment. Watching the heaven witchcraft sect's disciple disappear into the distance, Dugu Mo shook his head and said, "This heaven witchcraft sect's technique is indeed a little interesting." After some thought, Dugu Mo decided not to pursue. The heaven witchcraft sect's disciple was just a fly. If he encountered him in the future, he could just slap him to death. The most important thing now was the Azura blood pool. With this thought, Dugu Mo turned around and looked at Princess Luoho with an indifferent expression. Princess Luoho was immediately embarrassed. Chapter 1171. She hadn't expected Dugu Mo to be so powerful. After all, one's cultivation level could sometimes confuse one's judgment. Luoho was caught between a rock and a hard place. If she allowed Dugu Mo to help, she'd be slapping herself in the face. After all, Princess Luoho had looked down on Dugu Mo before. She had also refused his help and refused his request for half of the Azura blood pool. However, if she didn't allow Dugu Mo to help, the result would be obvious. Even if Luoho could use her trump card to escape the golden blood demon's attacks, she'd have to give up on the medium-sized pool. Ah! Screams rang out as the remaining dozen or so geniuses of the Mara imperial family were killed by the other 2 golden blood demons. The 2 golden body blood devils turned their attention to Princess Luoho. Luoho's expression was grave. She'd always been decisive, but now she was caught between a rock and a hard place. However, Duguchio stood calmly on the outside with his hands behind his back. If Luoho didn't agree, he wouldn't help. Luoho gnashed her teeth in anger when she saw Duguchio's expression. As the princess of a nation and a fearsome figure, no one had ever dared disobey her. Duguchio was the only one who wasn't afraid of her, and even dared to threaten and tease her. Hiss! The three golden body blood demons formed a triangular formation and surrounded Princess Luoho. Luoho's expression changed. It would be difficult for her to escape in this situation. The three golden body blood demons turned into three streaks of golden light. The sharp blades in their hands pierced towards Princess Luoho. Damn it, this princess agrees. Luoho's face flushed red. She couldn't help but shout. At the same time, the three golden body blood demons had already reached Princess Luoho. Damn it. Luoho gripped the scythe of the death god, thinking that she'd be seriously injured this time. However, in the next moment, a blur flashed past and brought Princess Luoho away from the three golden body blood demons. All of a sudden, Princess Luoho felt herself being hugged by someone. Turning her head, she saw Duguchio's cold and charming side profile. Princess Luoho, why didn't you say so earlier? Duguchio's lips curled into a smile. Princess Luoho felt very uncomfortable. She was not wearing any clothes. Only a few pieces of black armor covered her important parts. Large patches of snow-white skin were exposed. At this moment, Duguchio was hugging her waist. Her exposed skin was practically sticking to Duguchio's body. Her originally towering bosom was pressed tightly against Duguchio's chest, becoming flat and round. Let go. Princess Luoho struggled out of Dugu's grip, her expression extremely unnatural. That beautiful jade face, which had always held a touch of coldness, actually quietly surged with an imperceptible blush. Her clothes seemed to be revealing, but they were not slutty. She had never been close to anyone of the opposite sex since she was young. Because she felt that no man in the Mola dynasty was worthy of her. But at this moment, a strange feeling emerged in Princess Luoho's heart. Duguchio said indifferently, "You rest for a while. I will hold them back." Princess Luoho suppressed the strange feeling in her heart and sneered, "Aren't you afraid that I will leave and let you face these blood demons alone?" Ha! Duguchio shook his head. "First, I am confident that I can escape from the three golden blood demons. Second, I believe that your highness is not willing to give up the Azura blood pool for nothing." Duguchio's words left Princess Luoho speechless. "All right, wait for me to recover." Princess Luoho's face was cold as she swallowed a healing pill. Although she was very unwilling to cooperate with Duguchio, it seemed to be the only way at this moment. Seeing this, Duguchio turned around to face the three golden body blood devils. "It's a little troublesome, but it's okay." Duguchio immediately used the Sky Devourer secret technique, and his cultivation soared to the third layer of the divine dwelling stage. Adding on the power of the battle god demon body, his strength skyrocketed. 13 demon swords, blood kill. Duguchio charged toward the three golden blood demons with the god devourer sword in his hand. A secret technique to increase one's cultivation level. Is this your trump card? Princess Luoho regulated her breathing while paying attention to Duguchio. She had indeed underestimated Duguchio before. The more she watched, the more she felt that Duguchio was a little mysterious, as if he was hiding some secret. Duguchio fought the three golden blood demons. The more Princess Luoho observed, the more shocked she became. Because she realized that Duguchio did not bleed at all after being pierced by the golden blood demon's sharp blade. Duguchio did not even frown when he was injured, as if he could not feel the pain. Is it because of some kind of body tempering technique? Princess Luoho could only think of this. After 15 minutes, Duguchio said, "Princess Luoho, if you don't act now, we won't be able to obtain the Azura blood pool." Princess Luoho coldly glared at Duguchio. She really wanted to leave and let Dugu Chilma be killed by the golden blood demons. But for the sake of the Azura blood pool, she could only give up on this idea. And for some reason, Princess Luoho had a feeling that Dugu Chilma had not fully revealed his strength. With Princess Luoho's help, the pressure on Dugu Chilma was greatly reduced. Although the 3 golden blood demons were difficult to deal with, Princess Luoho and Dugu Chilma were not to be trifled with. It took some time, but in the end, the 2 of them joined forces and killed the 3 golden blood demons, as well as the other elite blood demons. Princess Luoho panted, her breasts heaving up and down, looking very alluring. With her strength, she had paid a great price to kill the 3 golden blood demons. She had used up a lot of energy. Dugu Chilma had a calm expression from beginning to end. Even though there were many wounds on his body, he did not make a sound. What a monster! Princess Luoho muttered under her breath. It was normal to be ruthless to others. But it was even more terrifying to be ruthless to oneself. Now, we can start distributing. Dugu Chilma said. Princess Luoho wanted to go back on her words and slash Dugu Chilma with her scythe. But looking at Dugu Chilma's dark golden demonic eyes, she instinctively felt a sense of fear. Dugu Chilma sneered and did not say anything. He went to the Azura blood pool and began to collect the Azura blood. In the end, he collected more than 1,500 bottles of Azura blood. In addition to the blood essence in the golden blood demon's heart and the blood he had collected before. Dugu Chilma now had more than 3,000 bottles of Azura blood on him. This was already a huge number. His points on the bloodstone had also skyrocketed to 4,300 points. Princess Luoho's expression was ugly, but she still collected her share of the loot. Her points also skyrocketed. Goodbye, Princess Luoho. Dugu Chilma left without hesitation. Dugu Chilma, this princess will remember this. Princess Luoho gritted her teeth and stomped her foot. For the first time, her indifferent state of mind was disturbed. Dugu Chilma was the first person in the Molo dynasty who dared to take advantage of her like this. Chapter 1172. Dugu Chilma and Princess Luoho's skyrocketing points naturally shocked the outside world. Pei Tu and the others from Heavenly Demon sect were so happy that they didn't know what to say. Originally, they thought that it was already very good that Dugu Chilma could enter the top 10. But now, Dugu Chilma was ranked 4th. Heavenly Demon sect's geniuses had never achieved such good results in the Azura Blood Road. 1,000 bottles of Azura blood is too worth it, Pei Tu said with a smile. When he promised Dugu Chilma 1,000 bottles of Azura blood, there were some criticisms in Heavenly Demon sect, thinking that he was being too nice to Dugu Chilma. But now, no one would criticize him anymore. What's there to be proud of? That Dugu Chilma hasn't met the 2 geniuses of my mystic demon palace. If he does, any one of them can kill Dugu Chilma, Fan Yuan said with a cold face. Hearing Fan Yuan's words, the smiles on Pei Tu and the others' faces faded. If it were other geniuses, Pei Tu would definitely be disdainful because Dugu Chilma's combat strength was extraordinary. But if he encountered Yuan Hua and Master Soul Demon, Pei Tu wasn't confident. He didn't know if Dugu Chilma had the ability to fight them. At this moment, a Heavenly Demon sect supremacy suddenly exclaimed, Elder Pei Tu, look at that light screen. Pei Tu looked over and saw Heavenly Demon sect's Saintess Qing Qing's name flickering and slowly dimming. Not good. Pei Tu's face sank. This meant that Qing Qing had been severely injured and encountered great danger. There was a possibility that she would die. If she died, her name would turn gray and disappear. At the same time, Dugu Chilma had already reached the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. Dugu Chilma's sharp divine soul perception could also sense that there seemed to be an extremely exuberant blood chi fluctuation in the deepest part. Could there be a large Azura blood pool in the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road? Dugu Chilma guessed. However, very few people had ever walked to the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road because it was too dangerous. Suddenly, there were sounds of fighting in front of them. Dugu looked into the distance with a demonic gaze. A few disciples dressed in the heavenly demon sect's attire were drenched in blood. They were injured in many places and were staggering as they fled. Behind them, a dozen or so geniuses from Mystic Demon Palace chased after them with mocking expressions. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. Run! Run again if you have the guts. A genius from the Mystic Demon Palace sneered. Damn it, my heavenly devil sect's holy son Dugu won't let you off. Roared a heavenly devil sect disciple. Oh, what bullshit chosen. He's a cripple who hasn't even reached the divine dwelling stage. Our Lord Hun Demon has already captured the saintess of the heavenly demon sect, Qingqing, and released the news that Dugu Chuma is looking for her. But where is your chosen Dugu now? That genius from the Mystic Demon Palace sneered. Perhaps Lord Holy Sun didn't receive the news, a Sky Fiend's sect disciple said unwillingly. It was just that he wasn't too sure and didn't have much confidence. Ha, ridiculous. Doesn't your saintess know how to send a message? I think Dugu Chuma is afraid of Lord Hun Demon, so he avoided the battle and didn't even save your saintess, the genius from the Mystic Demon Palace mocked. His words made the several heavenly devil sect disciples speechless. They also didn't have any confidence. Alright, I've had enough fun. I'll send you on your way. The genius from the Mystic Demon Palace sneered and lifted his hand to attack the heavenly devil sect disciples. Just then, a black-clothed, white-haired figure inserted himself between the two like a ghost. And, you are. The expressions of the dozen or so geniuses changed slightly. It's Chosen Dugu. Greetings, Lord Chosen. The several heavenly devil sect disciples were taken aback at first, but then their faces lit up with ecstasy. Their heavenly devil sect's strongest heaven pride, Chosen Dugu, had finally appeared. Dugu Chuma. The dozen or so geniuses from the Mystic Demon Palace couldn't help but take a few steps back with extreme fear on their faces. They were still disdainful of Dugu Chuma earlier, but now, their faces were pale and their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Why aren't you continuing? Dugu Chuma crossed his arms in front of his chest and tilted his head slightly as he looked at them indifferently. Let's go. The leading genius from the Mystic Demon Palace snorted and turned to leave. Did I allow you to leave? Dugu Chuma's face suddenly darkened. In an instant, an extremely terrifying killing intent and baleful aura swept out, causing the universe to change color. The dozen or so Mystic Demon Palace disciples immediately trembled like a sieve. Qingqing, where is she? Dugu Chuma asked with an indifferent expression. She is in the southeast direction, 300 miles away. She is trapped by Lord Hun Demon. Lord Hun Demon wants to lure you to save her. The genius from the Mystic Demon Palace said with trepidation. The aura that Dugu Chuma released made him feel as though his liver and guts were about to shatter. Ha! Dugu Chuma narrowed his eyes as a cold light flashed across his eyes. Qingqing didn't send him a message, so Dugu Chuma only knew about it now. It must be because Qingqing was stubborn and would rather die than send him a message. What a fool. Although I have no feelings for you, it doesn't mean that I can sit by and do nothing, Dugu Chuma muttered with a complicated feeling in his heart. The dozen or so geniuses from the Mystic Demon Palace saw that Dugu Chuma was thinking about something. Their eyes flickered as they turned around and desperately fled. Devouring energy explosion. Dugu Chuma reached out with one hand and a black demonic light exploded. The group of geniuses didn't even have time to scream before they were swallowed and blasted into pieces. Leave. Don't go any further. Dugu Chuma glanced at the heavenly demon sect's disciples indifferently as he flashed towards the southeast direction. Thank you, Saint. The heavenly demon sect's disciples bowed and cupped their fists towards Dugu Chuma's back. TSK, how strong is Saint Dugu? He killed more than a dozen geniuses so casually. I don't know, but I do hope that Saint Dugu can kill Master Hun Demon and Yuanhua. The heavenly demon sect's disciples chatted for a while before they left in a flash. On the other side, 300 miles away. A woman in green was tied to a pillar. The woman's green clothes were torn in many places, revealing bloodstains that set off her snow-white skin. It was exceptionally glaring. A line of blood flowed down from the corner of her mouth, making her look rather miserable. The woman who was tied to the pillar was Qingqing. Not far away, a man in a blood-red robe stood with his hands behind his back. His long hair was loose and covered one of his eyes. His aura was strange and cold, making people feel uncomfortable. This person was Master Hun Demon, the genius of the Mystic Demon Palace who was ranked 4th on the blood ranking. There were dozens of Mystic Demon Palace's disciples standing around him. In addition, there were thousands of forces and independent cultivators watching from the surroundings. After all, the person who was tied to the pillar was the saintess of the Heavenly Demon Sect. Chapter 1173. That Duguqiuma hasn't arrived yet. Master Hun Mo frowned slightly. Qingqing, who was tied to the pillar, had her beautiful face drained of blood and was pale. She smiled weakly and said, Master Hun Mo, give up. He won't come. Oh, it seems that this new saint of Heavenly Demon Sect doesn't have tender feelings for the fairer sex. He doesn't even care about you, a saintess of the same sect. If that's the case, Master Hun Mo sneered. He immediately took out a whip and lashed Qingqing a dozen times. Qingqing's delicate body was covered with bloodstains. Her face was even paler and she coughed up blood. But there was a smile on her delicate face. It was just that the smile was a little bitter and desolate. You're right. Qingqing's life is nothing in his eyes. He's never taken Qingqing seriously either. She remembered what Duguqiuma said that day. She didn't have any extra feelings for him. Qingqing felt a heart-wrenching pain. Perhaps, in the eyes of the Demon King, only a woman like Princess Luo Ho was barely worthy of him. A sense of inferiority spread in Qingqing's heart. It even made her feel like she had nothing to lose. It was also because of this that Qingqing would rather die than send a message to Duguqiuma. Firstly, she didn't want Duguqiuma to take risks for her. Secondly, Qingqing also wanted to know if Duguqiuma would be sad if she died. Hearing Qingqing's words, the martial artists in the distance couldn't help but shake their heads. That Duguqiuma massacred 13 cities. I thought he was a peerless, ruthless person. In the end, he turned out to be such a coward. He didn't even dare to save the saintess of his sect. Yes, if it were me, I would definitely come to rescue a saintess like Qingqing, no matter what the final result is. It seems that Duguqiuma is still afraid of Mystic Demon Palace. Even Master Hun Mo is afraid of him, let alone Yuanhua. The cultivators in the distance all revealed looks of disdain and ridicule. Although the martial practitioners of the Mara dynasty were mostly cold and indifferent, they still felt indignant when they saw a woman like Qingqing being trapped. They despised Dugu for begging the devil. Hehe, it seems that I have overestimated that Duguqiuma. To think that I even sent a message to Yuanhua, asking him to come here. Looks like it's all for naught now. Master Hun Demon shook his head and laughed. That's right. Why call it Duguqiuma? I think it's more appropriate to call it Dugu Tortoise. That's right, the holy son of the Heavenly Demon Sect is just a coward. Dozens of Mystic Demon Palace's disciples mocked loudly. It was conceivable that if Duguqiuma did not come, then the legend of the white-haired sword demon who slaughtered 13 cities would completely collapse. I won't allow you to insult him. Qingqing, who was tied to the pillar, raised the last of her strength and shouted mournfully. Oh, judging by your attitude, could it be that you are Duguqiuma's woman? Master Hun Demon noticed that Qingqing's attitude towards Duguqiuma was different and raised his eyebrows slightly. Qingqing bit her lips and did not speak. Master Hun Demon suddenly thought of a vicious scheme. The corners of his mouth lifted into a cruel smile as he spoke. Ha, interesting. In that case, I'll strip you naked and let my Mystic Demon Palace's disciples do it one by one. Let's see if that Duguqiuma can resist. Haha. As soon as these words came out, Qing Qing's already pale face became even paler. Although she grew up in a chaotic place like the Mara dynasty, Qing Qing had maintained her purity since she was a child. Duguqiu Mo was the first man she had been intimate with. If Master Hun Demon really did such a thing, Qing Qing would rather commit suicide. She also knew that with the character of Master Hun Demon and the others, they would really do such a thing in public. Let me go first. Master Hun Demon slowly approached Qing Qing. Qing Qing shook her head with all her might. Her delicate face was as pale as paper. When the martial artists in the distance saw this, some of them could not bear it and some sighed in their hearts. Some were very interested and could not wait to see the next scene. Qing Qing closed her beautiful eyes in despair. Just as she was about to bite her tongue and commit suicide, an aura suddenly enveloped heaven and earth. That aura was extremely murderous, cold, tyrannical, and cruel. It was as if a demon god had descended to the world and wanted to wash heaven and earth with blood and destroy the universe. Master Hun Demon. The three words were uttered one by one as if a demon god from the underworld was whispering. Just as everyone's hearts were trembling because of this extreme murderous aura. A black crystal sword tore through the air, tearing heaven and earth apart and shaking the universe. Who? Master Hun Demon's face changed abruptly and he hurriedly retreated. The black crystal sword directly pierced through the chest of a mystic demon palace's genius and continued to tear through the air without any reduction in momentum. Puff! 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 Blood blossomed and in the blink of an eye, the chests of more than 10 mystic demon palace's geniuses were penetrated. Blood splattered everywhere as bones and flesh flew everywhere. In the end, the sword went straight for Qing Qing. When Qing Qing saw the sword, her face that was originally filled with despair froze. Her beautiful eyes widened with disbelief and even sparkles appeared in her eyes. The black crystal sword brushed past Qing Qing's body and shattered the pillar before stabbing into the ground. Dead silence, there was a deathly silence all around. Before the person appeared, a sword had directly killed more than 10 mystic demon palace's geniuses. It was insolent. In the distance, a figure walked over. His footsteps were very steady but every step he took seemed to stomp heavily on the hearts of everyone present. It made one's heart tremble like a drum. Following his arrival, the entire world froze with endless murderous intent. 3,000 feet long white hair fluttered in the void. A dark gold demon eye mixed with blood red, like the eye of a demon god from the underworld, stared coldly at Master Hun Demon and the others. Duguqiu Ma had arrived. Whoosh! After a brief moment of shock, the surrounding martial artists burst into an uproar. They did not expect that the heavenly demon sex saint, Duguqiu Ma, would actually appear. Duguqiu Ma. Master Hun Demon's originally frivolous expression froze slightly. Because this aura that made one shudder made him have no choice but to be on guard. Duguqiu Ma ignored everyone and his gaze fell on Qing Qing. Qing Qing's green clothes were torn in many places and there were glaring whip marks all over her body. Clearly, she had been abused. Her beautiful face was also pale and had lost its color. But at this moment, tears appeared in Qing Qing's eyes. The corners of her lips curled into a heart-moving smile. Although she did not want Duguqiu Ma to come. But when he really came, Qing Qing could not help but feel happy. At least she had left a shadow in Duguqiu Ma's heart. Seeing Qing Qing's blood-stained face, Duguqiu Ma's heart surged with coldness. Although Duguqiu Ma did not have any feelings for Qing Qing. But it did not mean that he could allow others to humiliate Qing Qing. Duguqiu Ma's gaze swept across Master Hun Demon and the others from Mystic Demon Palace as if he was looking at dead people. His bone-chilling words resounded through the boundless blood road. Come up and receive your death. Chapter 1174. For simple words reverberated between the heavens and earth. The faces of the martial artists in the distance froze. Judging from Dugu's words, he wanted to kill dozens of Dark Demon Palace's prodigies, including Master Hun Demon. Master Hun Demon was so angry that he laughed, his eyes cold. This was the first time someone dared to speak to him in such a tone. Although Dugu Chiuma's aura surprised him, this aura alone was not enough to make him afraid. After all, Master Hun Mo was ranked 4th on the blood ranking. He had killed countless people. Dugu Chiu Mo, you are really as arrogant as the rumors say. However, do you think you are qualified to say such words to me? Master Hun Demon sneered. His strength was extraordinary and he was good at the Tao of Soul. It could be said that even the prodigies of the same realm were afraid of Master Hun Demon because Master Hun Demon did have many strange means in the Sea of Consciousness. Master Dugu, leave quickly. He has called Yuan Hua over. Qing Qing shouted and reminded. Master Hun Demon alone was enough to bring great pressure to others. If they delayed until Yuan Hua arrived, the 2 top prodigies of Dark Demon Palace would join forces. No matter how strong Dugu Chiu Mo was, it would be very dangerous. The martial artists in the distance suddenly understood why Master Hun Demon was so fearless. In addition to his strength, Yuan Hua was about to arrive. If Yuan Hua arrived, not to mention Dugu Chiu Mo, even Princess Luo Ho would find it difficult to deal with the 2 of them at the same time. However, this was only the thought of the outsiders. Dugu Chiu Mo's expression did not change because of Yuan Hua. His face was still cold and indifferent as if he did not care about Yuan Hua at all. Oh, Dugu Chiu Mo, I am very curious. What is it that supports your confidence and gives you the courage to face me and Yuan Hua? Master Hun Demon looked quite calm. Are you trying to stall for time? In fact, I don't care whether Yuan Hua comes or not. However, one thing is certain. Dugu Chiu Mo paused. What? Master Hun Demon frowned slightly. You will definitely die. After Dugu Chiu Mo finished his sentence, he executed imminent skyline and rushed towards Master Hun Demon and the others. You're courting death. Seeing that Dugu Chiu Ma had actually taken the initiative to attack, Master Hun Mo's face sank. With a flick of his sleeve, a group of geniuses from the Mystic Demon Palace charged forward. Dugu Chiu Mo activated the power of the soul-devouring demon eye. In an instant, the soul-devouring demon eye blossomed with a faint blood-red light. The geniuses of the Mystic Demon Palace who had rushed up immediately felt their sea of consciousness turn upside down. It was as if some mysterious power was causing the soul power in their sea of consciousness to explode. Ah! The geniuses of the Mystic Demon Palace clutched their heads in agony. Some of the weaker geniuses had their heads blown up, and red and white matter splattered everywhere. Dugu Chiu Ma punched out and directly punched through the chest of a genius from the Mystic Demon Palace. He grabbed the heart out and then ruthlessly crushed it. Then, with a flip of his hand, he smashed the head of another genius from the Mystic Demon Palace into pieces. Then, with a kick that carried the power of the battle god demon body, he ruthlessly swung out and smashed another person from the Mystic Demon Palace into pieces, as if he had been trampled by a giant beast. In just a few breaths of time, dozens of geniuses from the Mystic Demon Palace were all annihilated. The smell of blood drifted between heaven and earth. The ground was covered with all kinds of broken limbs, flesh, and bones. It looked extremely horrifying. Everyone's breathing seemed to have stopped. The scene was dead silent and somewhat dull. Gulp, it was unknown which martial artist was the one who swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Dugu Chiu Mo's method was horrifying and cruel. It made one's scalp tingle. Even if the martial artists of the Maluo dynasty were used to all kinds of killings, they still felt a little frightened when they thought of such a bloody and cruel method. At this moment, Dugu Chiu Mo's hands were stained with blood. His white hair was also stained with specks of blood, which added a bit of desolation to it. Master Hun Demon was stunned, and his face slightly froze. To be honest, if it was him, he could do it too. However, it was absolutely impossible to do it so cleanly, and it was even more impossible to kill a group of geniuses in such a short period of time. But in an instant, rage and hostility appeared in Master Hun Demon's eyes. Duguchio Mo actually tortured and killed the people of Mystic Demon Palace in front of him. If he didn't kill Duguchio Mo, where would he put his face? Duguchio Mo, die. Master Hun Demon finally made his move. He waved one hand, and 10 flying shuttle-like divine weapons appeared. Each flying shuttle was dipped in poison, and all kinds of runes were engraved on it. Master Hun Demon urged his soul power and poured it into the 10 flying shuttles, and flew toward Duguchio Mo. He was good at the Tao of Soul, so even the weapons were driven by his soul power. Comparing the Tao of Soul. Duguchio Mo's mouth lifted into a sneer. Who would be better at the Tao of Soul than the Soul Devourer clan? Duguchio Mo activated the Soul Devourer Demon Eye again. Master Hun Demon immediately felt that there was an abnormality in his sea of consciousness, and it was trembling endlessly. It even affected the 10 flying shuttles, and their speed slowed down. This Duguchio Mo's demon eye is indeed a bit strange. If I didn't have the spiritual object protecting my sea of consciousness, I might really be affected. Master Hun Demon's body trembled, but he soon calmed down. Originally, he didn't believe Duguchio Mo's legendary demon eye that could kill anyone it stared at. But now that the truth was in front of him, Master Hun Demon had to believe it. A touch of greed quietly appeared in his eyes. If I can dig out this Duguchio Mo's demon eye, I might be able to understand the mystery. My Tao of Soul will become stronger. On the other side, Duguchio Mo didn't look surprised at all. Master Hun Demon's strength wasn't weak, and he was good at the Tao of Soul. Therefore, he would be less affected by the Soul Devourer Demon Eye. As if seeing the greed in Master Hun Demon's eyes, Duguchio Mo's eyes turned even colder. You want my Soul Devourer Demon Eye? You're courting death. It had always been Duguchio Mo who oppressed others. No one dared to attack Duguchio Mo. Duguchio Mo reached out with one hand, and the Soul Devourer sword that was stabbed into the ground was summoned. It buzzed and vibrated, rose from the ground, and flew back to his hand. Duguchio Mo held the Soul Devourer sword and slashed out. With a loud clang, one of the flying shuttles was directly smashed into pieces. How can this be? My 10 poisons flying shuttle is a quasi-heavenly tribulation divine weapon. How can it be shattered in one blow? Master Hun Demon's face suddenly changed, greatly surprised. Immediately, he controlled the remaining 9 flying shuttles and surrounded Duguchio Mo. Duguchio Mo's sword vibrated, and the flying shuttles were shattered and destroyed. But there was still a flying shuttle that grazed Duguchio Mo's arm. Haha, Duguchio Mo, you're dead meat. Seeing this, Master Hun Demon laughed heartily. He stepped forward, formed a seal with one hand, and blasted a palm at Duguchio Mo, Soul Morning Curse. This palm contained the power of the Soul Curse, and an ominous aura shrouded the area. The 10 poisons flying shuttle was dipped in poison, enough to melt the internal organs. Therefore, Master Hun Demon was not worried that Duguchio Mo would dodge this move. Die! Master Hun Demon blasted a palm at Duguchio Mo's head. Everyone's eyes were unblinking at this moment, and even their breathing was about to stop. Was the white-haired sword demon, who had slaughtered 13 cities, about to fall? Chapter 1175. Not far away, Qing Qing's pretty face turned even paler when she saw this scene. If Duguchio Mo died because of her, Qing Qing naturally wouldn't want to live alone. Master Hun Demon slapped down with a cold sneer on his face. This is the result of provoking my Mystic Demon Palace. After you die, I will dig out your demon eye and then dote on your heavenly demon sex saintess. Oh, is that so? Duguchio Mo suddenly raised his head, the corners of his mouth raised into a cold and cruel arc. He refined the battle god demon body. Black demon runes emerged from under his skin, and then his fist collided with Master Hun Demon's palm. How is this possible? Master Hun Demon's face changed drastically as if he had seen a ghost. The poison on his flying shuttle was enough to melt the enemy's internal organs even if it was just a little bit. But why was Duguchilma still able to move? There wasn't even a trace of poison. However, before Master Hun Demon could think about it, he felt a terrifying force coming from his arm. Master Hun Demon was good at the Tao of Soul, so his physical strength was naturally weak. As for Duguchilma, after attaining the Battle God Fiend body, his physical body was terrifyingly powerful. Ordinary sky prides of the same level were no match for him, let alone Master Hun Demon who had a weaker physical body. Immediately, a series of cracking sounds of bones were heard. Master Hun Demon hurriedly retreated, his face was pale, and the blood in his chest was turbulent. His left arm was trembling, and his entire arm was twisted in a strange posture. The bones in his arm had been shattered by the terrifying force. This scene was also beyond the expectations of all the onlookers. What's going on? Master Hun Demon's arm was crippled by Duguchilma. Why do I feel that Duguchilma has the ability to be immune to poison? The onlookers were all surprised. Logically speaking, as long as one was of flesh and blood, it was impossible to be immune to poison. Unless Duguchilma was not of flesh and blood, or had a special physique. However, the truth was indeed as these martial artists had guessed. Duguchilma's physique was very special. Ching Ching heaved a sigh of relief when she saw this, and a trace of redness returned to her face. Damn it, you tricked me. Master Soul Demon was so angry that his face turned pale. How could he not know by now that Dugu had asked for the demon's help on purpose to lure him into action and then bait him? Because you are too stupid. Duguchio Mo said coldly. You're courting death. Heart-shattering demon wave. Master Hun Mo urged his soul power to spread out along with his Jin Qi. The void trembled as ripples spread out. This was one of Master Hun Demon's ultimate techniques. True Qi and soul power intertwined. It could cause damage to the physical body and also cause shock to the soul. Using both methods at the same time, it could shatter the enemy's mind. Black Dragon Devour. Duguchio Mo activated his devouring skill. A pitch-black devouring power spread out from his body and condensed into a black dragon head. It opened its huge mouth and devoured the incoming shockwaves. Rumble. The void trembled like the surface of a drum. The earth was shattered, and cracks appeared. Many cultivators in the distance groaned as blood flowed from their mouths and noses. This move was extremely powerful and actually caused them to suffer heavy injuries. If it weren't for the distance, their heart meridians would have been shattered. From this, it could be seen how much pressure Duguchio Mo, who was in the middle of the heart-shattering demon wave, was under. Boom! After the collision, the black dragon head was directly shattered, and the heart-shattering demon wave also dissipated. Fourth on the blood ranking, you do have some ability. Duguchio Mo's face was indifferent. Originally, the Black Dragon Devour could reflect the damage of an attack, but there was also a certain limit. If it exceeded this limit, the Black Dragon Devour would be broken. Of course, compared to Duguchio Mo, Master Hun Demon was even more astonished. He blocked my heart-shattering demon wave. Master Hun Demon was astonished. Even an expert of the fourth layer of the Divine Dwelling stage might not be able to block his move. But Duguchio Mo hadn't even reached the Divine Dwelling stage. This kid is a little strange. If I want to kill him, it seems I can only use my trump card. Master Hun Demon's face was as cold as frost. He wouldn't easily reveal his trump card, but it was absolutely powerful. Master Hun Demon wasn't stupid. He naturally knew that Duguchio Mo's strength was far beyond what he showed on the surface. If he didn't use his true means, it would be very difficult to kill him. Duguchio Mo, you really hid your strength well. All of us have underestimated you, but if you think you can deal with me, Master Hun Demon, then you are too naive. Master Hun Demon's voice was hoarse and cold, and an inexplicable aura began to surge around his body. Surging soul power was fermenting around him, as though brewing a certain ultimate move. The martial artists in the distance couldn't help but reveal a look of shock and fear. Could it be that Master Hun Demon is going to use his trump card? It should be. It is rumored that the former 4th on the blood ranking was killed by Master Hun Demon with this move. Let alone a 4th layer of the divine dwelling stage, even a 5th or 6th layer expert may not be able to withstand this move. Yes, this move is too strange. Master Hun Demon's state made everyone in the distance fearful. Qingqing also seemed to think of something. Her jade-like face suddenly turned pale, and she shouted in panic, "Gongzi Dugu, quickly leave, he's going to use that move." Oh. Dugu Qiu-mo stood indifferently, a strange light flashing in his eyes. What move was it that made everyone so fearful? He was also a little curious. "Ha, it's too late to leave." Master Hun Demon sneered. He lifted his hand, lifting half of his long hair. Before, his forehead hair covered one of his eyes. But at this moment, as Master Hun Demon lifted his hair, the covered eye was also completely exposed. It was a strange dark purple pupil. It emitted a faint purple light that made one's heart palpitate. This strange purple pupil was the source of Master Hun Demon's soul power. It was also his greatest trump card that allowed him to stand at the 4th place on the blood ranking. Innate ability, evil purple pupil. So it's an innate ability. Dugu Qiu-mo's face was still cold when he saw this. There was no trace of surprise. He had the soul-devouring demon eye. Naturally, others could also have the innate ability of the eye. For example, Gu Xiaoyang was born with a stellar eye between his eyebrows. This was a gift from the heavens. However, it was different from the stellar eyes and the evil purple-eyed pupils. Dugu Qiu-mo's soul-devouring demon eye was derived from the innate ability of the soul-devouring clan. However, as a foreign race of the dark world, the innate ability of the soul-devouring clan was definitely not weaker than these eyes. It might even be stronger. "Dugu Qiu-ma, after I kill you, I will dig out your demonic eyes. At that time, both of my eyes will possess astonishing might. With a single glance, who will be able to contend against me?" Master Hun Demon had a wanton smile on his face as if Dugu Qiu-mo was already meat on the chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. "Well, you reminded me." Dugu Qiu-mo nodded slightly. "What?" Master Hun Demon's eyes sharpened. Dugu Qiu-mo said with a cruel and bloodthirsty smile. "After you die, I'll dig out your evil purple pupil." Chapter 1176. You're courting death. Master Hun Demon was enraged. A fierce soul fluctuation surged into the sky. As a heaven's pride of Dark Demon Palace and ranked 4th on the blood ranking, how many people in the Molo dynasty dared to treat him with such an attitude? Dugu Qiu-ma was the only one. "Angering me will only make your death more painful. I'll let you experience the power of the evil purple eye." Master Hun Demon's tone was cold as he activated the evil purple eye. Wisps of strange deep purple light bloomed from the evil purple eye. Dugu Qiu-ma also activated the soul-devouring demon eye. Wisps of blood light scattered from the demon eye. The current situation was very strange. Dugu Qiu-ma and Master Hun Demon did not move at all. They were just standing in the same place. But there was a storm in the surroundings. The earth cracked and the sky shook. It was as if there was some invisible force colliding violently and destroying everything. This was the collision of soul eye techniques. It was silent but strange and deadly. Young Master Dugu. Qing gritted her teeth and retreated to a distance to heal her injuries. Her attention was focused on the battle. Because Master Hun Demon's trump card was really strange and fierce. It had killed many heavens prides of Molo dynasty. So Qing was very worried. The other martial artists were also paying close attention to the battle. As time passed, Dugu Qiu-ma and Master Hun Demon both took a step back. A line of blood seeped out of each other's eyes. How could this be? Master Hun Demon seemed to be in disbelief as he stared at Dugu Qiu-ma. His evil purple eye could not suppress Dugu Qiu-ma's soul-devouring demon eye and could not invade his sea of consciousness. The result was obvious. Whether it was the demon eye or the strength of his soul, Duguqioma was not inferior to Master Hun Demon, who was famous for his soul Tao. Impossible. If his soul power is so strong, how can his body be so strong? Master Hun Demon still could not believe it. Generally speaking, a chosen would either have a powerful true energy cultivation base, a powerful soul force, or a powerful fleshly body. As for Duguqioma, other than the fact that his cultivation state was slightly lower, the power of his physical body and the power of his soul were so strong that they had reached the pinnacle. This was something that Master Hun Mozi could not believe. Duguqioma used his hand to wipe away the blood at the corner of his eyes. He frowned slightly and sighed in his heart. Sigh, I'm still too unfamiliar with the use of the demonic soul-devouring eye. Duguqioma was certain that the power of the soul-devouring demon eye had yet to be fully unleashed. The current soul-devouring demonic eye was probably only 10 to 20% of its original power. It was only after Duguqioma broke through to the divine dwelling stage that the power and ability of the spirit-devouring demon eye would be unearthed again. However, even 10 to 20% of his power was enough to flatten Master Hun Demon's evil purple eye. From this, one could see how powerful the soul-devouring demon eye was. Master Hun Demon was so confident in his evil purple eye, but in the end, he couldn't even suppress the incomplete soul-devouring demonic eye. When the surrounding 1,000 martial artists saw this scene, they were also dumbfounded. They didn't expect this result. Duguqioma's demonic eye is so powerful that even Master Hun Demon can't suppress it. Who knows, maybe Master Hun Demon didn't use his full strength. Many martial artists were whispering to each other. Master Hun Demon's face alternated between green and white. He indeed didn't hold back just now, but he still couldn't suppress the demonic soul-devouring demonic eye. No, I, Master Hun Demon, must not be defeated. Master Hun Demon's eyes flashed with determination. He must not be defeated by Duguqioma. The next moment, Master Hun Demon bit his finger and smeared the blood on the evil purple eye. In an instant, the evil purple eye bloomed with a demonic purple light. Duguqioma, this is the strongest technique of the evil purple eye. It's enough to destroy your soul. Master Hun Demon roared, and the evil purple eye erupted with boundless purple light. The purple light shrouded Master Hun Demon and Duguqioma. What kind of move is that? Some martial artists were shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. Master Hun Demon is really going all out. His move is rumored to be able to pull the enemy's consciousness and soul into a mysterious spiritual space. I heard that Master Hun Demon once used this move to erase the consciousness of a fourth-layer divine dwelling expert, turning him into a living dead, a few martial artists who knew some news said with trepidation. What? Erase consciousness? Is this the terrifying ability of the evil purple eye? Becoming a living dead is worse than death. Hearing this explanation, the martial artists felt a chill run down their spine. This kind of innate ability was too terrifying. What? Qingqing couldn't help turning pale when she heard this. She wanted to stop it, but she was blocked by the purple light and couldn't break through. No. How could this be? Qingqing panicked. She attacked again and again, ignoring the wounds on her body. And at this moment, Duguqioma suddenly found himself in a strange space. The surrounding purple light was distorted, like a purple river of stars in the depths of the universe. How is it, Duguqioma, do you like this place? Opposite Duguqioma, Master Hun Demon stood with his hands clasped behind his back, looking incomparably relaxed and indifferent. It was as though he was the king that ruled over everything. Is this the special ability of the evil purple eye? Duguqioma still didn't panic. He was equally calm. Oh, pretending to be calm. But it doesn't matter, you will soon feel fear. Master Hun Demon smiled faintly. His body began to expand violently, until he stood indomitable like an ancient giant. A river of stars revolved around his waist, and the sun and moon were smaller than his eyes. Duguqioma, in this consciousness space, I, Master Hun Demon, am the king, the emperor, and the god that rules over everything. Master Hun Demon's voice was vast and mighty, coming from all directions. Is that so? Dugachyo Mo held the God Devourer's sword and swung it with one hand. However, the sword light seemed to have cut through the void, passing through Master Hun Demon's huge body. It's useless. Dugachyo Mo, I have said that I am a god. Your attack can't hurt me, but I can crush you like an ant. Master Hun Demon looked down at Dugachyo Mo from above. I see. I understand now. This is the consciousness space you created with the evil purple eye, and then you pulled my consciousness into it. If my consciousness can't withstand the torture and is annihilated, I will become a living dead, right? Dugachyo Mo said calmly. You have some knowledge, but have you thought about how you want to die? I can use a million kinds of torture to torture your consciousness. Master Hun Demon sneered. Ridiculous. Dugachyo Mo shook his head and smiled. What are you laughing at? Master Hun Demon's face changed slightly, but he immediately calmed down, and the corner of his mouth held a sneer. In his view, Dugachyo Mo should be trying to be brave, deliberately mystifying things. I'm laughing because you don't know what kind of existence the enemy you are facing is. As Dugachyo Mo's voice fell, his aura burst out. His white hair fluttered, and his eyes were like a sword. The dark golden soul devourer devil eye erupted with an unprecedented blood light. Behind Dugachyo Mo, a terrifying figure with monstrous demonic aura slowly appeared. This is... Master Hun Demon was aghast. Chapter 1177. The vague illusory figure behind Dugachyo Mo filled the space. It was as if the consciousness space couldn't trap it. The figure's white hair fluttered like a white river of stars. The face was extremely blurry, only two dark golden eyes could be seen, like the eyes of an ancient demon god, overlooking the world. This figure was the same as the white-haired Soul Eater clan's physical body suppressed under the pyramid of the sacred dynasty, Hun Myeyen. This figure was also a technique derived from Dugachyo Mo's Soul Eater Fiend Eye. Hun Mozi could use the evil purple eye to create a consciousness space and pull Dugachyo Mo's consciousness into it. Dugachyo Mo could also use the power of the Soul Eater Fiend Eye to condense its original form, which was Hun Myeyen. Because Dugachyo Mo's Soul Eater clan talent came from Hun Myeyen's Soul Source Crystal. What the hell is this? This is definitely not your consciousness. Hun Mozi's eyes revealed a trace of panic. He reached out and grabbed Dugachyo Mo's consciousness. Dugachyo Mo just stood there indifferently. Behind him, the consciousness figure condensed from Hun Myeyen's Soul Source Crystal reached out a hand, grabbed Hun Mozi's arm, and then tore it off. No, a sharp pain from the soul made Hun Mozi let out a shocking scream. In this space, I am a god, how can I lose? Hun Mozi couldn't believe it. Lowly human reptile, the figure spoke indifferently, like an ancient demon god whispering. Hun Myeyen was a pure-blooded Soul Eater royal clan, so his eyes were Soul Eater Fiend Eye. Unlike Dugachyo Mo, who only had one Soul Eater Fiend Eye. When the figure activated the Soul Eater Fiend Eye, it seemed to be able to distort the space here. Hun Mozi's huge figure also began to distort and collapse. No, how is this possible? I want to retreat. Hun Mozi's face was pale, he was really panicking. He didn't think that using the evil purple eye as his trump card would end up being the same as shooting himself in the foot. Soul Demon Child, thank you for pulling me into your consciousness. Otherwise, it would be a little troublesome to kill you. Dugachyo Mo's lips curled into a cold smile. What is this thing? It's definitely not human. Who are you? Master Hun Demon was about to go crazy. His eyes were bloodshot. He never thought that Dugachyo Mo would have such a trump card. He had no idea that such an ancient and terrifying existence was hidden in the depths of Duga's demonic consciousness. You can call him the soul-devouring royal family. Dugachyo Mo said indifferently. Soul-devouring royal family. Master Hun Demon's eyes revealed a hint of confusion. With his horizons, it was simply impossible for him to know about the ancient deeds of the Dark World. Boom! In the next moment, Hun Demon's consciousness was directly shattered by Hun Miayan's figure. It could be said that Master Hun Demon had dug his own grave. However, after Master Hun Demon's consciousness was destroyed, Hun Miayan's figure did not immediately disappear. Huh? Dugu Chioma frowned slightly. You will eventually return to my clan and fight for my clan. Betray the all heavens and become the king of the soul-devouring clan, Hun Miayan's figure muttered in a somewhat profound manner before disappearing. Betray the all heavens and become the king of the soul-devouring clan. Dugu Chioma shook his head. This kind of thing was too far away from him. Now was not the time to think about it. In the outside world, seeing that there was no movement in the purple light, most of the martial artists thought that Dugu Chioma was most likely going to die. Qingqing's jade-like hands were full of scars. No matter how she bombarded it, she could not break the purple light curtain. Just as she was feeling despair in her heart, the purple light suddenly dissipated. The figures of Master Hun Demon and Dugu Chioma were revealed in front of everyone. Looking at the two figures standing opposite each other like clay sculptures, everyone's eyes were filled with bewilderment. Who won? Is there a need to guess? It must be Master Hun Demon. When Qingqing saw Dugu Chioma's figure, she directly pounced on him. Young Master Dugu, wake up. Qingqing's eyes were hazy with tears. She bit her lips so hard that blood oozed out. If she hadn't been captured, Dugu Chioma wouldn't have come. If he didn't come, he wouldn't have died. Why are you crying? A faint voice sounded, causing Qingqing's delicate body to tremble. She suddenly raised her head and stared at Dugu Chioma's face. Dugu Chioma opened his eyes and said faintly, "Young Master Dugu." Qingqing threw herself into Dugu Chioma's arms. At this moment, all the awkwardness, grievance, anger, and jealousy no longer existed. She just wanted to lean into Dugu Chioma's arms. What? When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Their eyes turned to Master Hun Demon at the same time. They saw Master Hun Demon's figure standing upright like a living corpse. Blood flowed out from his 7 orifices. His eyes never opened. Hiss! Thousands of martial artists took a deep breath at the same time. Their hearts turned cold. Dead, Master Hun Demon, ranked 4th on the blood ranking and known for his Tao of Soul, had fallen after using his trump card. If this news were to spread out, it would definitely set off a huge wave. Everyone was puzzled. They stared at Dugu Chioma as if they were staring at a monster. How did he counterattack? Everyone was curious, but no one had the courage to go forward and ask. After comforting Qingqing a little, Dugu Chioma walked in front of Master Hun Demon. Under everyone's gaze, Dugu Chioma directly reached out and dug out Master Hun Demon's evil purple eye. Blood flowed out. Everyone felt pain in their eyes. At the same time, they were even more afraid of Dugu Chioma. He was definitely a ruthless character. He meant what he said. After obtaining the evil purple eye, Dugu Chioma plundered Master Hun Demon's Azura blood. Once again, he obtained more than 2,000 bottles of Azura blood. The score displayed on the blood stone also soared to 5,600 points. Then, he indifferently swept his gaze over his surroundings. Those martial artists felt their scalps go numb. Without the slightest hesitation, they hurriedly fled, fearing that Dugu Chioma would kill them along the way. Dugu Chioma didn't make a move. He simply felt that it was a little troublesome. He turned to look at Qingqing. Qingqing lowered her head, ashamed and unable to show her face. She had deliberately kept a distance from Dugu Chioma before, but now she still needed him to save her. The deepest part of the Azura blood road is too dangerous. You should return after recuperating from your injuries, Dugu Chioma said casually. Qingqing bit her lips, a complicated expression on her face. But she had to admit that although she was at the 2nd layer of the divine dwelling stage, she was only a burden to Dugu Chioma. But Dugu Chioma's words seemed to carry a trace of concern. Young Master Dugu, are you concerned about Qingqing? Qingqing suddenly pursed her lips and smiled. Dugu Qiuma turned around and said indifferently, "I'm leaving first." With that, he flashed and left. Qingqing's pretty face flashed with sadness, shaking her head. She wasn't qualified to possess Dugu Qiuma, and it was impossible for her to possess him. At the same time, on the other side of the Azura Blood Road, Yuan Hua, clad in black gold armor and a blood-red cloak, was delayed by a black-veiled woman. "What do you want to do?" Yuan Hua frowned. This mysterious woman with a black veil didn't attack him, nor did she allow him to leave. What was even stranger was that Yuan Hua actually felt an extreme sense of danger coming from the mysterious woman. This caused him to be surprised. "Well, if that guy isn't weak, he should have been dealt with by now," the black-veiled woman said to herself. What, could it be Master Hun Demon? Yuan Hua's eyes sharpened. Chapter 1178. Previously, Master Hun Demon had sent a message saying that he had captured Qingqing and wanted to use her to lure out Dugu Qiuma. After Yuan Hua received the message, he rushed straight to the place Master Hun Demon had mentioned. But halfway there, he was stopped by the mysterious black-masked woman. Yuan Hua felt an extremely dangerous feeling from the woman, so he was very cautious and didn't make a move. But now, hearing the words of the masked woman, Yuan Hua immediately thought of Master Hun Demon. But the corners of his mouth curved in a sneer. "Miss, you mean that Dugu Qiuma has the ability to deal with Master Hun Demon?" The masked woman nodded confidently. "Of course." "Ah, ridiculous." Yuan Hua felt it was extremely ridiculous. How could Dugu Qiuma, who hadn't even broken through to the Divine Dwelling stage, defeat Master Hun Demon, who was at the 4th layer of the Divine Dwelling stage? In particular, Master Hun Demon also had the remarkable ability Purple Eye Evil Pupil. If he used the Purple Eye Evil Pupil, even Yuan Hua wouldn't dare to be careless. So Yuan Hua didn't think there was a possibility of Master Hun Demon losing. He ignored the woman and left in a flash. The black-masked woman didn't stop him this time and let him leave. The veiled woman finally smiled in a lovely manner after Master Hun Demon left. She muttered to herself, "Wan has already helped you once. Don't fail to beat a single Master Hun Demon. That will really disappoint me." The black-masked woman was which Wan? With a twist of her lily-white hand, she took out a dazzling demon bead. If he defeated Master Hun Demon, it's time to come into contact with him. After all, Wan alone can't deal with that pair of dog and dog. Wan narrowed her eyes and said in a cold voice. On the other side, Yuan Hua finally arrived at the place Master Hun Demon had mentioned. But when he arrived, the scene in front of him made Yuan Hua's head buzz. He couldn't believe his eyes. There were broken limbs everywhere. They were all dead disciples of the mystic demon hall. How is this possible? Yuan Hua scrunched his brows. The next moment, his gaze suddenly shifted to the half-kneeling ice-cold corpse. The figure's long hair was disheveled, and blood was flowing out of his 7 orifices. One of his eyes was empty. It was the corpse of Master Hun Demon. How could this be? Yuan Hua's eyes trembled. Even with his cold and indifferent personality, he still showed such shock. It could be seen how shocked he was. Impossible. Could it be Dugu Qiuma? But how could he have the ability to kill Master Hun Mo? Yuan Hua approached Master Hun Demon's corpse and saw the frozen expression on Master Hun Demon's face. It was distorted and horrified, as though he had seen something terrifying. Master Hun Mo's personality is cold and cruel. Even he has such an expression. Dugu Qiuma, what are you hiding? Yuan Hua murmured. He wasn't stupid. If young Master Hun Demon was really killed by Dugu Qiuma, then Qiuma's hidden strength might be extremely shocking. However, even if you've hidden your strength, I, Yuan Hua, swear that I will kill you. Yuan Hua left this place and rushed towards the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. At the same time, at the periphery of the Azura Blood Road, it could be said that monstrous waves had been set off. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the blood-red light screen. They saw with their own eyes that Master Hun Demon's name turned gray before it finally disappeared. Everyone was stunned and couldn't come back to their senses for a moment. Master Hun Demon was atop Heaven's Pride of Mystic Demon Palace, ranked 4th on the blood ranking. Not to mention in the Mo Luo dynasty, even in the entire Nantian region, he was definitely not weak among the younger generation. But now, he had actually fallen. Fan Yuan and the others from Mystic Demon Palace couldn't believe their eyes and their scalps went numb. Just as Master Hun Demon's name disappeared, Dugu Qiuma's ranking skyrocketed again, directly jumping to the 2nd place. He was second only to Yi Tsangshan, who was ranked 1st on the blood ranking. Pei Tu and the other Heavenly Devil sect elders were dumbfounded. Even they couldn't believe their eyes. Dugu Qiuma, it must be Dugu Qiuma who killed Master Hun Demon. A Heavenly Devil sect elder said excitedly. Master Hun Demon had just fallen and Dugu Qiuma's score had skyrocketed, rushing to the 2nd place on the blood ranking. This was definitely not a coincidence. It was very likely that Dugu Qiuma had killed Master Hun Demon. After this guess was spread, everyone was shocked. That's impossible. Fan Yuan's face was ashen. He had previously said that if Dugu Qiuma encountered the 2 heaven prides of Mystic Demon Palace, he would undoubtedly die. In the end, he was dead, but the one who died was Master Hun Demon. Mystic Demon Palace should accept reality. Let alone Master Hun Demon, even Yuan Huo will follow in his footsteps. Pei Tu sneered, feeling a burst of joy. Of course, he was just saying that to make the Mystic Demon Palace unhappy. After all, Yuan Huo was stronger than Master Hun Demon. Dugu Qiuma was able to kill Master Hun Demon. The Demon Queen's charming face also revealed a look of surprise. The young man, who she had looked down on and ignored at the beginning, was now performing more and more amazingly in the Azura Blood Road. While the outside world was in great waves because of the death of Master Hun Demon, Dugu Qiuma was heading towards the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. He had a feeling that the final battle was about to come. And the opportunity to break through to the Divine Dwelling stage and create a flawless Divine Dwelling was likely to be hidden in the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. There was also the rumored inheritance of a supreme expert hidden in the depths of the Azura Blood Road. Dugu Qiuma was also very interested in it. But before that, Dugu Qiuma still needed to solve one thing. He spread out his palm, and the purple eye evil pupil lay quietly in his palm. How should I use this purple eye evil pupil? Do I really have to dig out my left eye and implant the pupil in it? Dugu Qiuma frowned. He wasn't afraid of digging out his eye because Dugu Qiuma's body could shield him from pain. Dugu Qiuma just felt that the body should be kept intact and harmonious. Although the purple eye evil pupil was strong, it was Master Hun Demon's innate ability. Forcibly implanting it on his body might not bring out the best effect. But then, Dugu Qiuma's soul-devouring demon eye suddenly began to tremble. Dugu Qiuma sensed something and directly placed the purple eye evil pupil close to the soul-devouring demon eye. In an instant, a devouring force erupted, and the power of the purple eye evil pupil was completely absorbed by the soul-devouring demon eye. The blood-red lines in the dark golden pupil of the soul-devouring demon eye became brighter and deeper. At the same time, Dugu Qiuma instinctively received a message in his mind. The soul-devouring demon eye, after devouring the power of the purple eye evil pupil, had obtained the ability of the purple eye evil pupil. That was, the ability to pull the consciousness and spirit of the enemy into one's consciousness space. It was definitely a terrifying ability. It could be said that Master Hun Demon's ability was a great threat even in the face of Yuan Hua, Princess Luo Ho and the others. But he just had to court death and run into Dugu Qiuma, who had inherited the talent of the soul-devouring clan. Chapter 1179. But, if you want to use this ability, you have to pay a high price. After sorting out the information in his mind, Dugu Qiuma frowned slightly. Because to use this ability, it would consume a lot of the Sea of Consciousness origin. If the soul power was consumed, it could be recovered slowly. But if the Sea of Consciousness origin was consumed, it would be difficult to recover. Dugu Chioma had 1/3 of Yiguchin's Sea of Consciousness origin, plus the soul source crystal of soul extinguishing flame and so on. Even so, it was impossible to support Dugu Chioma to use this move frequently. No wonder Soul Demon rarely uses this move. It turns out that he uses it desperately. Dugu Chioma suddenly realized. This move was just like Yiguchin's Eye of the Void. It could kill 1,000 enemies but hurt 800 of his own. Dugu Chioma decided that he would not use this move unless it was necessary. In his palm, the evil purple eye had turned into a stone-like grayish-white color. Dugu Chioma closed his 5 fingers and directly crushed it into flying ashes. However, just as Dugu Chioma wanted to continue to go deeper into the Azura Blood Road, a charming voice that could make one's lower abdomen burn suddenly sounded. "I finally found you." The voice was extremely charming and seductive. Listening to the tone, it was as if she had found a lover she had not seen for a long time. Dugu Chioma narrowed his eyes and turned around. A woman with a black veil over her face, who was dressed in a black dress and had a devilish figure, was staring at him with her beautiful eyes that were so enchanting that they could drip water. The burning gaze in her eyes was as if she had really seen her lover. In her white jade-like palm, there was a demonic bead that was emitting an unprecedented blazing light. "Well, you are." Dugu Chioma frowned. He did not waver because of the seductive figure and half-covered appearance of the woman in front of him. Instead, he became more vigilant. This woman did not seem to be in the top 10 of the blood ranking of the Maro Kingdom. But the sense of danger she brought to Dugu Chioma was more than Princess Luoho and the others. Seeing that there wasn't the slightest fluctuation in Dugu's demon-seeking eyes, Wan couldn't help being surprised. She was born with a natural charm and was a peerless seductress. No matter how firm a man's heart was, when he first saw her, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. But Dugu begged the devil, his eyes were as indifferent as a pool of stagnant water. That feeling was like a stone without human emotions. "Looks like it can't be wrong," Wan thought. Dugu's performance in seeking demons was indeed different from ordinary people. Thinking of this, Wan smiled. Even though her face was covered by a black veil, her faint smile was still very moving. "I traveled thousands of miles, crossing mountains and rivers to come here. Why don't you have any reaction?" Wan said, feeling wronged. Traveling thousands of miles, crossing mountains and rivers. Dugu Chiomo's expression became even more solemn. This sentence revealed a lot of information. This woman was not from the Molo dynasty, and the fact that she was able to travel thousands of miles to come here proved that there was an extremely powerful force behind her, and her background was definitely extraordinary. Most importantly, listening to the meaning of this sentence, this woman had come to find him. All kinds of speculations were churning in Dugu Chiomo's mind. Perhaps even Wan herself didn't think that with just one sentence, Dugu Chiomo could deduce so much information. "Who are you?" Dugu Chiomo asked straightforwardly. "Which Wan have you heard of me?" Wan smiled sweetly. "No." Dugu Chiomo shook his head. He didn't travel in the South Horizon region, and his real body, Yiguchin, didn't know much about her. "You." Wan almost staggered and fell. In the South Horizon region, she was famous for her beauty, but Dugu Chiomo had never heard of her. "I am a member of the Demon Extermination Sect." "You have heard of the Demon Extermination Sect, right?" Wan didn't hide it and said straightforwardly. One of the 3 great sects of the South Horizon region, presumably all the peddlers knew about it. Demon Extermination Sect. Dugu Chiomo raised his eyebrows slightly. This was somewhat out of his expectations. He didn't think that this woman called Wan actually had such a shocking origin. None of the geniuses of the Overlord forces were easy to deal with. Dugu Chiomo's expression became even more solemn. Of course, he didn't forget. In the Demon Extermination Sect, there was a cultivation method that was very suitable for him to cultivate. It was the founder of the demon extermination sect, the world extermination demon venerable's own origin cultivation method, the demon extermination heart sutra. Duguchyo Mo had always kept this matter in his heart. From your tone, your target seems to be me. Duguchyo Mo's gaze fell on the glowing demon bead in Wanner's hand, and said lightly. To be precise, what Wanner is looking for is the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven phenomenon. Wanner finished speaking, and her charming eyes stared straight at Duguchyo Mo. That blazing gaze seemed to want to melt Duguchyo Mo, as expected. Duguchyo Mo thought to himself. If there was anything that Wanner was interested in, it was probably the heaven ferocious fate and the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven. It seems that you've already determined that I'm the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven phenomenon? Duguchyo Mo asked lightly. More or less. The demon bead won't lie. Wanner held up the demon bead and smiled. This was because the founder of the demon extermination sect, the world extermination demon venerable, was the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven phenomenon. Therefore, there was a treasure in the demon extermination sect that could guide the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven phenomenon. It was the demon bead in the witch's hand. It was also because of this that the witch was certain that the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the Mola dynasty. I am indeed the person who triggered the demon emperor's descent to the ninth heaven phenomenon, so what do you want? Since he had already confirmed it, Duguchyo Mo might as well admit it. He wanted to know where the demon extermination sect stood. If the demon extermination sect wanted to harm him, Duguchyo Mo would make sure Wanner remained in the path of cultivation forever, even if he had to pay the price. Wanner seemed to have sensed the murderous intent in Duguchyo Mo's eyes. Wanner put on a sad expression and said, I helped you before. Do you want to kill me? Help me? Duguchyo Mo looked puzzled. This was the first time he and Wanner had met. When had Wanner helped him? Wanner stopped Yuan Hua in his tracks, Wanner said. Duguchyo Mo suddenly understood and said, although it wasn't necessary, I owe you a favor. Tell me, what's your purpose? Since Wanner was showing goodwill to him, Duguchyo Mo wouldn't make enemies for nothing. It's very simple. I hope you can join the demon extermination sect, Wanner said. Duguchyo Mo's expression didn't change much. Instead, he asked, why? Because you're a demon emperor phenomenon. Only the demon extermination sect can nurture you better. If you can grow up smoothly, it's not impossible for you to become the demon extermination sect's young master. Wanner's tone was charming and had a hint of persuasion. I don't think it's that simple. Duguchyo Mo smiled coldly. He never believed in such benefits that fell from the sky. Of course. The demon extermination sect's internal strife is very intense. But you're different. You're a demon emperor phenomenon. You can cultivate the demon extermination heart sutra to perfection. You're the most likely to succeed, Wanner said. Oh, it seems that the demon extermination sect's situation isn't too good either, Duguchyo Mo said meaningfully. There was probably a big problem inside the demon extermination sect. Otherwise, Wanner wouldn't have traveled thousands of miles to find him, a demon emperor phenomenon. Wanner bit her lips slightly and said, you're right. But I'm afraid you have another reason to join forces with me. Oh, what's the reason? Duguchyo Mo asked. Because someone wants to kill you before you grow up, Wanner said. Who dares? Duguchyo Mo smiled coldly. His personality was arrogant and unruly. He was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. Anyone who wanted to kill him had to be prepared to be killed first. Yi Yue, Gu Xiaoyang. Wanner said word by word. What? When he heard Gu Xiaoyang's name, Duguchyo Mo's expression suddenly changed. His killing intent surged and shook the heavens. Heaven and earth had turned blood red because of this intense killing intent. Chapter 1180. The name Gu Xiaoyang completely triggered Duguchyo Mo's nerves. Although he had never seen Gu Xiaoyang before, as a clone of Yi Guqin, his hatred and murderous intent towards Gu Xiaoyang was no less than that of Yi Guqin himself. Dugu Qiuma finally knew that the two familiar auras he felt outside the Azura Bloody Road were from Yi Canggyue and Gu Xiaoyang. Wana was surprised when she felt Dugu Qiuma's uncontrollable murderous intent. Why was his reaction so big when he heard that someone wanted to kill him? She looked at Dugu Qiuma meaningfully and said, "What's wrong? Does Mr. Dugu have a feud with these two?" "No, I'm just a little upset when I heard that someone wanted to kill me." Dugu Qiuma controlled his mind and calmed down. He could not tell Wana about Yi Guqin for the time being. Who knew if Wana was sincere or not? Wana nodded and did not dwell on it. "Why does Yi Canggyue want to kill me?" Dugu Qiuma asked. He did not ask about Gu Xiaoyang. There was no need to ask. Their feud was already irreconcilable. However, Dugu Qiuma was surprised by Yi Canggyue. "Ha, she doesn't want you to join the demonic sect. She doesn't want the demonic sect to have another big devil. Sister Canggyue is such a white lotus." Wana giggled. Dugu Qiuma frowned slightly and pondered. He knew that Yi Canggyue had the immortal divine embryo, which could fuse with Yi Guqin's innate sword embryo to form a powerful innate indestructible sword embryo. In this way, he could not kill Yi Canggyue directly. Wana looked at Dugu Qiuma pondering and misunderstood. She thought that Dugu Qiuma might have some thoughts about Yi Canggyue. She smiled charmingly and said, "What's wrong? Have you fallen for Sister Cangyu?" But then again, Sister Cangyu is known as a fairy and her beauty is known far and wide. Even one of the 10 young masters, Gu Xiaoyang, is willing to prostrate himself before her. Gu Xiaoyang? Who does he think he is? Dugu Qiumo sneered. Then, he asked, "So, what's your next plan?" Wana said seriously, if Wana's guess is correct, the two of them are also in the Azura Blood Road. Moreover, they might be waiting in the depths for the fish to take the bait. To be honest, whether it's Wan, or you, young Master Dugu, you definitely can't deal with the two of them alone. It's very likely that you'll be suppressed and killed instead. So, the only way is for us to work together. Wana's meaning was simple. She and Dugu Qiuma joined forces to deal with Yi Canggyue and Gu Xiaoyang. Sure. Dugu Qiumo nodded without hesitation. Although he was arrogant and unruly, he was not a brainless person. With his current strength, it would not be too much of a problem for him to deal with one of them alone. However, it was beyond his power to deal with two of them at the same time. As expected of a demonic emperor phenomenon. Simple and straightforward. Then, I wish us victory. Wana smiled sweetly and extended her slender hand. Dugu Qiumo extended his hand indifferently. Wana's hand was small and delicate, soft and boneless. It was very comfortable to touch. However, Dugu Qiumo did not linger. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, Wana grabbed it. "Do you want to have a fated marriage?" Wana smiled ambiguously. "With you?" Dugu Qiumo sneered. "You're thinking too much." Wana blushed slightly under her black veil. How could this devilishly charming young man be more flirtatious than her? Of course it's Sister Canggyue. Wouldn't it be a wonderful story of a fairy and a demon king? Wana said mischievously. "We'll talk about it when the time comes." Dugu Qiumo did not mind. He did not care much about the matters between men and women. Wana stuck out her tongue. She already started scheming in her heart. In the following time, Wana and Dugu Qiumo headed towards the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. Not just them, the remaining surviving martial artists also rushed towards the deepest part together. At the beginning, there were several tens of thousands of martial artists who entered the Azura Blood Road. Now, the number was less than several thousand. It could be seen how tragic and cruel the Azura Blood Road was. Another day passed. Dugu Qiumo and Wana also finally arrived at the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. Saying it was the deepest part was actually because there was already no path to go. Because ahead was a sea, accurately speaking, it was a blood-colored sea. Blood waves surged to the sky, without an end. The Azura blood road came to an end here. Could that be a large-scale Azura blood pool? Duguchyo Mo said in surprise. However, this could no longer be called a blood pool. It should be called the Azura Blood Sea. Looks like this place should be the birthplace of the Azura blood. However, where is that supreme powerhouse's inheritance? Duguchyo Mo frowned, pondering. He discovered that at the periphery of this Azura Blood Sea, there were already many martial artists' figures appearing. But they were all very strange. They did not go to the edge of the Azura Blood Sea to obtain the Azura blood. Duguchyo Mo casually grabbed a person and asked. When that person saw Duguchyo Mo, he said while trembling with fear, because inside this blood sea, there seems to be some power. The people who went to collect the Azura blood previously were all directly swallowed up by the blood waves. So, that's how it is. Duguchyo Mo Ming let that person go. That person hurriedly ran far away, as if Duguchyo Mo was the death god. Am I so scary? Duguchyo Mo asked. Of course. Now, everyone in the Azura Blood Road knows that you killed Master Hun Demon and dug out his eyes. You're just like an Azura from hell, one said with a smile. Killing Master Hun Demon, who was ranked 4th on the blood ranking, made Duguchyo Mo infamous. Plus, many people witnessed it with their own eyes, so the authenticity of the news also skyrocketed. Many people's eyes quietly fell on Duguchyo Mo, their eyes were filled with surprise. Just as Duguchyo Mo was thinking about how to collect the Azura blood, another beautiful figure swept over from the distant sky. Gray hair, tall, graceful, and sexy figure. It was Princess Luoho. She bit her red lips with her pearly white teeth. Her beautiful eyes under the mask had a hint of coldness as she stared at Duguchyo Mo. It's Princess Luoho, but why is she staring at Duguchyo Mo? Many martial artists noticed it. TSK, young Master Dugu, it seems that your luck with women is not bad, Wan said from the side. Duguchyo Mo smiled indifferently and said to Princess Luoho, Your Highness, I trust you have been well since we last met. Humph. Princess Luoho just snorted coldly. She didn't know why, but when she saw the charming woman in black standing beside Duguchyo Mo, she had a very unpleasant feeling in her heart. Not long after, a figure wearing a hood and holding a white bone staff arrived. It was the Heaven Witchcraft Godchild. He stayed far away from Duguchyo Mo, not daring to get close because he was really afraid of Duguchyo Mo unless it was necessary. The Heaven Witchcraft Godchild would never provoke Duguchyo Mo again. Duguchyo Mo didn't care. In his eyes, the Heaven Witchcraft Godchild was just a relatively large ant. Then, another figure appeared in the distance. He was dressed in black and had a head of black hair. He walked over slowly with a sword in his hand that was still stained with blood. He was slowly wiping it with a white cloth. He had a handsome appearance and a pair of eyes as deep as the night. At this moment, he swept his gaze across the crowd and smiled faintly. Everyone is here. This person was the number 1 on the blood ranking, Yi Tsangshan. Chapter 1181. All the martial artists present looked at Yi Tsangshan with extreme fear. Although Yi Tsangshan did not seem to have any killing intent and was even smiling, he was definitely not the first on the blood ranking. Yi Tsangshan was also a ruthless person who had massacred a city. He was a typical smiling tiger. However, what was even more frightening was his background. Because he did not belong to the 6 major forces or the Mara royal family, his background was very mysterious. Yi Tsangshan looked at Princess Luoho and smiled faintly. I heard that someone made the princess unhappy. Princess Luoho did not say anything. Yi Tsangshan's black eyes turned to Duguchyo Mo. He glanced at Wanner with a slightly surprised look, as if he knew something. Duguchyo Mo said faintly, What? Are you going to stand up for Princess Luoho? Ha! You're not worthy enough for me to use the demon-edge sword. Yi Cangxian wiped the demon-edge sword with a white cloth and shook his head faintly. What he meant was that Dugu Qiuma was not worthy enough for him to attack. You're being underestimated. Wanner chuckled at the side and fanned the flames. Dugu Qiuma did not care. He was not someone who would attack casually. Those who underestimated him would naturally pay the price. Just as the atmosphere fell into silence, a cold voice that carried boundless coldness broke this silence. Dugu Qiuma, die. A black gold halberd shot over from afar with the power to pierce through gold and stone. It charged toward Dugu Qiuma. Dugu Qiuma raised his eyebrows slightly. He held the God Devourer sword and flicked it upward. There was a clanging sound of metal colliding, and sparks flew. A powerful force surged over. Dugu Qiuma's arm shook, and the force was dispelled. The black gold halberd turned back and buzzed before landing in the hands of a figure. That person wore black gold armor and a blood-red cloak fluttered behind him. Under the black hair was a cold face with a murderous aura. It was the third on the blood ranking, the strongest genius of Mystic Demon Palace, Yuanhua. Yuanhua is here. Yuanhua's arrival caused a huge commotion. Everyone's eyes shifted back and forth between Yuanhua and Dugu Qiumo. The enmity between the two could be said to be growing deeper and deeper. Dugu Qiumo first killed Yuanhua's younger brother, Yuan Huang, then killed Mystic Demon Palace's master Han Mo. Now, he and Yuanhua were in a situation where one of them had to die. Dugu begs the demon to pay with his life for Yuan Huang and Master Han Demon. Yuanhua clasped the black gold halberd in his hand, and without any superfluous words, he directly attacked. Fourth layer divine dwelling stage chi gushed out, and his black hair danced wildly in the wind, as though a demonic war god had awakened. Dugu Qiumo didn't say anything either. Be it Yuan Huang or Master Han Demon, they were the ones who first targeted Dugu. Since they were targeting him, they had to be prepared to be killed. Dugu Qiuma was not a soft-hearted person. He held the God Devourer sword in his hand and charged forward without any fear. Boom! A great battle broke out, and chi spread out like ripples. Wanner, Princess Luoho, the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple, Yi Cangxian, and the others were all watching. All the surrounding experts also wanted to know who was stronger between Yuanhua and Dugu Qiuma. There was no need to say much about Yuanhua, who had been ranked third on the blood ranking for a long time. Except for Yi Cangxian and Princess Luoho, no one could shake his position. Dugu Qiuma, on the other hand, was like a fiend star that had appeared out of nowhere, slaughtering 13 cities in a row, and then triumphantly advancing all the way, killing Yuan Huang, Zhong Lai, Yang Buwei, Shan Yu, Miao Yu, and even Master Han Demon, who ranked fourth on the blood ranking. It could be said that Dugu Qiuma's road to fame was a road stained with blood. The collision of the two could be said to have attracted everyone's attention. Demon splitting slash. Yuanhua poured his chi into the black gold halberd, and the sharp halberd light, which seemed to be able to cut through the sky, ruthlessly slashed at Dugu Qiuma. Dugu Qiuma displayed the demon 13 swords, and the blood-red sword light split the air, colliding with Yuanhua's attack. A violent buzzing sound resounded in everyone's ears, as if a metal star had exploded, erupting with an ear-piercing sound. After one blow, the two were forced back at the same time. Yuanhua suddenly found that there was a small gap on the blade of the black gold halberd. His divine weapon is strange. Yuanhua's eyes darkened. Seeing this, Dugu Qiuma displayed the battle god demon body again. Black demonic patterns spread out from under his skin, causing his physical strength to soar. Then he displayed the sky-devouring secret technique again, and his strength soared to the third level of the divine dwelling realm. Is this your trump card? Yuanhua's tone was cold. Although Dugu Qiuma's strength had soared by 3 small realms, Yuanhua was not afraid. As the third on the blood ranking, he naturally had the confidence to be the third on the blood ranking. Thorny splitting slash. Yuan Hua spun the black gold halberd in his hand, and terrifying demonic chi erupted. Countless halberd lights spread out like black thorns, turning the surrounding area into a forbidden land. All the surrounding cultivators hurriedly retreated, for fear of being affected. Every ray of halberd light was enough to penetrate a divine dwelling heaven pride. Kill! Yuan Hua roared, and the black gold halberd charged toward Dugu Chilma with the power of the halberd technique. Wherever it passed, deep cracks were plowed in the ground, and halberd light pierced through the air, shattering the world. Seeing this, Dugu Chilma changed the demon 13 swords again. The two swords, Blood Kill and Death Shadow, were unable to completely block Yuan Hua's killing move. Is that all you've got? Yuan Hua sneered cruelly. Ah! Dugu Chilma's eyes were cold. He once again displayed the third sword of the demon 13 swords. Star Burning. A sword streaked across the sky, and demonic flames billowed as if it could burn stars. Then, Dugu Chilma stomped his feet on the ground, soared into the air, and swooped down to display the fourth sword. Moon Severing. The god-devouring sword light turned into a curved arc, as if it could cut through the blue moon. But it didn't stop there. Dugu Chilma instantly gathered the chi in his body and displayed the fifth sword. Sun Erosion. The sword was unsheathed to suppress ghosts and gods, and one sword to destroy the universe. The third, fourth, and fifth sword of the demon 13 swords were all displayed. The three-sword lights split the world, and the incomparable demonic power shook the universe. Rumble. Halberd light and sword light collided, and smoke and dust filled the air. Amidst the confusion, the sound of coughing blood was heard. Everyone's eyes suddenly widened. They saw Yuan Hua's figure rapidly retreating, blood spurting from the corners of his mouth, and the black gold battle armor on his body was riddled with sword marks. The black gold halberd in his hand was also chipped in many places. In this collision, Yuan Hua was at a disadvantage. Hua! An uproar broke out in all directions, and all the cultivators turned their eyes to Dugu Chilma. Dugu Chilma also had some wounds on his body, but no blood flowed out. His expression didn't change at all, as if he didn't care about his injuries at all. Third on the blood ranking, you do have some skills, Dugu Chilma said lightly. Since his rise in the Maluo dynasty, he had killed all his opponents. Only Yuan Hua, whom he couldn't defeat cleanly. Of course, this was also related to the fact that Dugu Chilma didn't use his full strength. These few moves were just a test. It could be said that Dugu Chilma's performance even made Yi Tsangshin take him seriously. Dugu Chilma, don't be too proud. I haven't used my full strength either. Yuan Hua said coldly, and was about to attack again. At this moment, a frivolous and leisurely voice suddenly sounded. The deepest part of the Azura Bloody Road is quite lively. Hearing this voice, Dugu Chilma's attention suddenly turned, and his eyes were as sharp as a sword. Gu Xiaoyang. Chapter 1182. In the distance, two black-cloaked figures stepped through the air. That frivolous and leisurely voice came from none other than one of them. Yuan Hua and Dugu Qiu Mo had temporarily stopped their battle. Dugu Qiu Mo's gaze was fixed on the figure. Dugu Qiu Mo would never forget that voice. As someone who shared the same knowledge with Yi Guqin, Dugu Qiu Mo's voice was also deeply engraved in his mind. He didn't dare to forget their fated enmity for even a moment. Unlike Dugu Qiu Mo, the other cultivators didn't know the inside story. Yuan Hua, Princess Luoho, the Heaven Witchcraft Sect's disciple and the others were all bewildered. The reason for that was because they felt an extreme sense of danger from those two figures. Only Yi Tsangshin's ink-black eyes were deep in thought. Since you're here, why hide? Princess Luoho said coldly. You're Princess Luoho of the Mola Empire. You're indeed as cold and beautiful as the rumors say. You're quite beautiful. The frivolous voice contained a hint of arrogance. All the surrounding cultivators were surprised. How dare this person be so impudent to Princess Luoho? How dare you disrespect Princess Luoho? You're courting death. The Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple jumped out again. He had wanted to help Princess Luoho when she was in trouble, but Duguchio Mo had stopped him. Not only that, he had been defeated and forced to flee. It could be said that he had lost all face in front of Princess Luoho. But fortunately, he now had a chance to show off. Without hesitation, the Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple swung his white bone staff at the cloaked figure with a cruel smile. Duguchio Mo ruined my chance to show off last time. I won't fail this time, right? While the Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple was thinking, he heard a cold sneer from the other side. The vision of an ant is really pitiful. The figure formed a seal with his hands and blasted out a palm. The terrifying true chi of the 6th level of the divine dwelling stage poured out, condensing into a dazzling seal overflowing with starlight that crushed towards the Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple. Great Luo Star Seal. As the seal slammed down, it was as if a star was falling. No. How is this possible? Who the hell are you? The Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple sucked in a deep breath as he felt a chill run down his spine. Wasn't he just trying to impress Princess Luoho? Why was it that he kept encountering such a powerful freak? The Heaven Witchcraft godchild wanted to cry, but no tears came out. But now, the Heaven Witchcraft godchild could no longer regret his decision. With a loud bang, the star seal directly crushed the Heaven Witchcraft godchild's body to dust. The 6th on the blood ranking, the Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple, was killed in one move. Dead silence. Around the Azura Blood Sea, the expressions of all the martial artists suddenly changed, as if they had seen a ghost. Even Princess Luoho and Yuan Huo were slightly shocked. They could also kill the Heaven Witchcraft sect's disciple, but it wouldn't be so easy. Only 3 people's expressions did not change. One of them was Yi Tsangshan. With a meaningful look in his eyes, he muttered to himself, the martial arts of the Starry Sword Pavilion. Her's face was also expressionless. She had expected this, so she was not surprised at all. Her eyes flashed as if she was thinking about how to deal with them. The last one was Duguchilmo. He suppressed the strong murderous intent in his heart. Because if he exposed himself too much, he might attract Gu Xiaoyang's suspicion. Now, he could not let Gu Xiaoyang know that Yi Guqin was still alive. At least, he could not expose his identity before participating in the prodigy battlefield. Otherwise, not to mention Yi Guqin, even the Sword Dynasty would be implicated. The powerful means of an overlord force were far stronger than those of a top dynasty. Who are you? Princess Luoho asked in a low voice. They took off their cloaks and revealed their true identities. Gu Xiaoyang stood with his hands behind his back. He was wearing a star robe and a star crown, exuding the aura of a superior. He looked at Princess Luoho and the other dynasty prodigies as if he was looking at lowly peasants. Yi Tsangyue was wearing a white robe, like a fairy from the Moon Palace descending to the mortal world. She was as cold as frost and extremely beautiful. You are. Princess Luoho's cold eyes trembled slightly under her mask. Even though she was a princess, she was shocked at this moment because she recognized who it was. Starry Sword Pavilion, Gu Xiaoyang. Misty Sword Pavilion, Yi Tsangyue. Her true identity was exposed, causing an uproar. All the martial artists were extremely shocked. They did not expect that the prodigies of an overlord force in the Nantian region would come to the Molo dynasty to participate in the Azura Bloody Path. If this news spread, the Demon Queen and other pseudo-saint experts would be shocked. The corners of Gu Xiaoyang's mouth curled into a sneer as he looked at the terrified uproar in the surroundings. Yi Tsangyue turned to and said in a cold voice, you are indeed here. Everyone's eyes fell on and the look in their eyes changed again. Is she the famous witch of the demonic sect, Many martial artists said in surprise. Princess Luoho was also surprised and looked at in surprise. She vaguely knew that the Molo dynasty seemed to have some connection with the demonic sect. Sister Tsangyue, you found me. Wan covered her face with a black veil, but she still smiled and did not look nervous at all. Yi Sang-yue's face was cold, and her cold moon-like eyes turned to Dugu Chuma. It seems that it is him, Yi Sang-yue murmured. At that moment, she was certain that the person Wana was looking for was Dugu Chuma. He was also the executioner who had massacred 13 cities, someone that she disliked. This person hasn't even reached the divine dwelling stage. Gu Xiaoyang frowned. He didn't believe that a person who had triggered the demon emperor descending to the ninth heaven phenomenon hadn't even reached the divine dwelling stage. At the same time, for some reason, Gu Xiaoyang felt an instinctive irritation and disgust when he saw this person, as though he was repelled by this person. The appearance of 3 overlord forces heaven prides in a row made the other Molo dynasty martial artists present look a little solemn. In particular, Princess Luoho and Yuanhua felt the pressure double. Given their strength, although they wouldn't be killed instantly like the Heaven Witch sect's disciple, they still had no chance of winning. Yi Sang-yue's eyes were fixed on Dugu Chuma. She absolutely couldn't let Wan safely bring Dugu Chuma back to the demon extermination sect. What, does elder sister want to fight me now? Wan flashed and landed beside Dugu Chuma. She could stop Yi Sang-yue, but she wasn't sure if Dugu Chuma could stop Gu Xiaoyang. The whole scene was filled with the smell of gunpowder because of the enmity between the fairy and the witch, and it seemed that a fight would break out at any moment. Seeing this, Yuanhua didn't attack Dugu Chuma for the time being. On the other hand, Gu Xiaoyang's eyes flickered as he looked at the Azura Blood Sea. His main purpose wasn't to deal with Wan, but to obtain the inheritance of the supreme expert in the depths of the Azura Blood Road. Yi Zangshan also had the same idea as him. Fairy Sang-yue, I don't think it's the time for the final battle, said Gu Xiaoyang. Yi Zangshan also stepped forward and said, I think so too. Hearing Yi Zangshan's words, Yi Sang-yue and Wan both looked over. They were a little surprised because they felt that Yi Zangshan wasn't weaker than them. At this moment, the entire Azura Blood Sea suddenly surged with huge blood-red waves. Then, blood demons appeared one after another. Ordinary blood demons, elite blood demons, and golden body blood demons. There were hundreds and thousands of them. At the same time, a blood-red whirlpool appeared in the depths of the Azura Blood Sea. A majestic and ancient blood-red palace vaguely floated in the whirlpool. The greatest opportunity of the Azura Blood Road had finally appeared. Chapter 1183. When they saw the blood-colored palace in the whirlpool in the depths of the Blood Sea, all the cultivators' eyes were burning with passion. Many of them had heard that there was an ultimate expert's inheritance at the end of the Azura Blood Road. Although they didn't know who the ultimate expert was or what level he had reached. Since he could form a secret domain like the Azura Blood Road, he must be an ultimate expert. Therefore, all the cultivators wanted to obtain the ultimate expert's inheritance and reach the top in one step. And now, there was no doubt that the blood-colored palace was where the ultimate expert's inheritance was. However, before the cultivators could rejoice, the blood demons that covered the sky were enough to make them tremble in fear. Yi Sang-yue and Wan temporarily restrained their desire to compete. Under such circumstances, it was impossible for them to determine a victor. That inheritance is indeed real. Yi Zangshan's eyes flashed with excitement for the first time when he saw the palace floating in the Blood Sea. It was exactly the same as the ultimate expert's inheritance that he had imagined. I must obtain his inheritance. If I obtain it, I will dominate the South Sky region's Heaven Pride's battlefield, Yi Zangshan muttered to himself. A great battle broke out, and the blood demons and cultivators clashed. Let's go and find a way to enter the blood-colored palace, Dugu Chuma said to Wan. Dugu Chuma was determined to obtain the ultimate expert's inheritance. Only by obtaining the inheritance would Dugu Chuma have the confidence to face the Heaven Pride's battlefield. Princess Luoho, Yuanhua, Yi Zangshan, and the others also took action and rushed towards the blood-colored palace. Fairy Sang-yue, why don't we bury Wan and Dugu Chuma in the blood-colored palace forever? Gu Xiaoyang suggested. Yi Sang-yue hesitated for a moment, then nodded. All the heaven prides rushed towards the blood-colored palace. The blood demons also slaughtered the cultivators wantonly. Devouring Yuan explosion. Duguchilma stretched out his hand, and a terrifying demonic light shot out, blasting an elite blood demon in front of him to pieces. Wana waved her hand, her true chi bursting forth. Her cultivation had also reached the 6th layer of the divine dwelling realm. Next, it would be a process of elimination. Only the strongest prodigies would be able to kill countless blood demons and break out of the encirclement. If Yi Sang-yue and Gu Xiaoyang joined forces, they would naturally be able to break through. Duguchilma and Waner together were also very powerful. Their speed was not slower than Yi Sang-yue and Gu Xiaoyang. Yi Zangshan wielded the demon-edge sword and revealed his strength for the first time. He had also reached the 6th layer of the divine dwelling realm, causing Yi Sang-yue, Gu Xiaoyang, and Wan Er to raise their eyebrows. At the same time, they seemed to have thought of something and guessed Yi Zangshan's background. Who exactly is that Yi Zangshan? Duguchilma asked. If I'm not wrong, he might have come from there. Waner's tone was unusually serious. Where? Duguchilma asked. The Dark World. Waner did not hide anything and said directly. The Dark World? Duguchilma's eyes lit up. He had inherited all of Yi Guchen's memories, so he had naturally heard of this name. When he was still in the Saint Origin Empire, Shui Yiqing had mentioned it. If he had the chance in the future, he could come to the Dark World to look for Shuer, the heaven-weeping witch, Ji Ruqiang's. What kind of existence is the Dark World? Duguchilma murmured. If you participate in the Heaven Pride battlefield, you may understand, Waner said. The Heaven Pride battlefield, could it be? Duguchilma seemed to have thought of something. Princess Luoho, Yuan Hua, and the others also charged out of the encirclement. After a bloody massacre, only 7 people managed to reach the blood-colored palace. Yi Sang-yue, Gu Xiaoyang, Yi Zangshan, Yuan Hua, Princess Luoho, Duguchilma and Waner. The other experts were either killed by the blood demons or gave up and fled because they could not resist. However, to everyone's surprise, the blood demons did not chase after Duguchilma and the others after approaching the blood-colored palace. It was as if there was something in the blood-colored palace that made the blood demons respect and fear it. Next, the 7 of them stepped into the palace while being wary of each other. The entire palace was filled with the smell of blood. The murals all around seemed to be engraved with azure hell. A river of the underworld flowed with countless blood and corpses. It was eternal hell. It really is that person. Yi Zangshan glanced at the murals. He could not hide his joy. Duguchilma noticed the subtle change in Yi Zangshan's expression. Does he know something? Duguchilma murmured inwardly. After 15 minutes, the 7 of them gradually went into the deepest part of the blood-colored palace. The deeper they went, the more Duguchilma and the others could feel a strange heartbeat. It was like a pulse that could not stop beating. The ripples were like the beating of a drum, making everyone feel very oppressed and uncomfortable. Why do I feel like I'm hearing a heartbeat? Waner also felt rather uncomfortable. Yi Sang-yue, Gu Xiaoyang, and the others were the same. They felt their chests tighten as if they could not breathe. It was like they were being suppressed. Only Duguchilma felt the least out of the 7 of them. This was because he did not have a heart at all. His heart was only a longevity wood core. As a result, Duguchilma was the only one who was not affected at all. However, even so, Duguchilma pretended to frown. He looked like he was being suppressed like everyone else. At this moment, the path ahead came to an end. At the end of the palace was an extremely viscous pool of blood. A blood-red gemstone floated above the pool. Viscous azure blood continuously flowed out from the blood-red gem. The strange heartbeat also came from the blood-red gem. The 7 of them looked at the gemstone at the same time. Could the source of the azure blood be that blood-red gem? Duguchilma's eyes shone brightly. Without the slightest hesitation, the 7 people present flashed at almost the same time and rushed towards the blood-red gem. However, just as they were about to reach the pool of blood, the entire pool of blood suddenly began to churn. Accompanied by an earth-shattering hiss, a blood-red behemoth broke out of the pool of blood. It was a blood demon, but it was much larger than an ordinary blood demon. It was more than 10 feet tall and had 6 arms with sharp blades. It looked more like some kind of arthropod insect and was extremely ugly and ferocious. Its ferocious fiendish aura also far surpassed that of a golden blood demon. The pressure it emitted was at least at the 8th level of the divine dwelling realm. Could that be the king of blood demons? Princess Luoho and the others exclaimed. The king of blood demons was the strongest existence among the blood demons. Princess Luoho had only heard of it. It was her first time seeing it. Who would have thought that such a ferocious king of blood demons would be standing in front of the final opportunity? For a moment, the 7 of them wore grave expressions. Chapter 1184. The king of blood demons was comparable to an expert at the 8th layer of the divine dwelling realm. In addition, the blood demons had a special structure, an extremely powerful physical body, and 6 sharp arms. It could be said that even a venerable expert wouldn't be able to do anything to the king of blood demons in a short period of time. Moreover, venerable level experts couldn't enter the Azura Blood Road. It was no wonder that no one had been able to obtain the inheritance of the strongest expert in the deepest part of the Azura Blood Road. As soon as the king of blood demons appeared, it emitted a monstrous blood aura and stared fiercely at the 7 people present. At this moment, even the heaven prides of overlord forces like Gu Xiaoyang, Yi Cangyue, and Wana were frowning, feeling very troubled. Princess Luoho and the others looked even more solemn. Everyone, I think that no matter what kind of grudges and hatred we have, the most important thing now is to deal with the king of blood demons. Otherwise, let alone fighting for the opportunity, we may even be killed by it, said Gu Xiaoyang. That's right. Princess Luoho agreed. She also wanted to know what the most precious opportunity in the depths of the Azura Blood Road was. Waner, what do you think? Gu Xiaoyang looked at Waner, not caring about Duguqiuma. He didn't care about a person who hadn't even reached the divine dwelling stage, even if he was a demon emperor. Waner also thinks so. What do you think, Sister Cangyue? Waner looked at Yi Cangyue with a smile. Yi Cangyue's face remained cold and indifferent. She frowned slightly, not happy to join forces with Waner and Duguqiuma, but still nodded. Because it wasn't the time to determine the winner between her and Waner. I think you won't refuse, right? Gu Xiaoyang looked at Yuanhua and the others. Yuanhua's face darkened. Gu Xiaoyang's tone was obviously arrogant and bossy. However, he was a heaven pride of the empire and was weaker than the heaven prides of the overlord forces. Yuanhua unwillingly glanced at Duguqiuma, but still nodded in agreement and temporarily suppressed his killing intent. The discussion seemed to take a long time, but in fact it only took a dozen breaths. The king of blood demons roared, and its 6 sharp arms pierced through the air towards the 7 people present. Everyone, attack together. Gu Xiaoyang shouted as if he had become the leader. With his status as one of the 10 great young masters, he indeed had the right to do so. Duguqiuma did not care. He should deal with the blood demon king first. Soon after, a great battle broke out. Duguqiuma and the others attacked at the same time. One had to admit that none of the geniuses who could stand out and fight their way into the blood-colored palace were weak. Yuanhua waved his black gold halberd, sending halberd radiance into the sky. Princess Luoho slashed down with the scythe of the death god, and the scythe shone like a black moon. The demonic edge sword in Yi Cangshan's hand vibrated and streaks of sword light shot out. On the other hand, Gu Xiaoyang was still calm as he held the Daluo star seal in his hand and crushed over. Yi Cangyue and Wan also used their own divine abilities. Neither of them wanted to be weaker than the other. Duguqiuma also made his move, but he held back and did not use his full strength. the 7 sky prides were engaged in a chaotic battle with the king of the blood demons. Among them were 3 sky prides from overlords and a mysterious Yitsangshan. Even though the blood demon king's force was close to the supremacy level, he could only contend with the 7 geniuses and could not kill them. This made the blood demon king furious, and his attacks became even fiercer. Everyone, if we continue to hold back, none of us will get that opportunity, Gu Xiaoyang said in a deep voice. Wan Er smiled and said, Mr. Gu, since you're so good at talking, why don't you set an example first? Okay. Gu Xiaoyang nodded without hesitation. Then, he used his fingers as a sword and pointed in the air. 7 stars illusion, unsheath. As soon as he said that, a silver longsword shot out. The blade was like mercury and shone with 7 stars, forming the shape of the Big Dipper. This was Gu Xiaoyang's sword, the 7 stars illusion. However, the 7 stars illusion had already reached the level of a tribulation divine weapon. Like the 9 dragon thunder prison, it was a 10th tribulation divine weapon. His sword has also transformed into a 10th tribulation divine weapon. Dugu Qiuma saw this. He remembered the battle between Gu Xiaoyang and Yiguchen in the Tianhuang Plains. At that time, Gu Xiaoyang's 7 stars illusion was only a quasi-tribulation divine weapon. It seemed that during this time, not only did Gu Xiaoyang's cultivation not lag behind, but even his sword had also transformed. 1000 Stars Pilgrimage Sword Technique. Gu Xiaoyang held the 7 stars manifest god and slashed out. Tens of thousands of sword lights emerged like a river of stars. Each sword light was extremely sharp and pierced towards the Blood Devil King like a meteor shower. Even Wan had a serious look in her eyes. Gu Xiaoyang's strength was one of the best among the Overlord Force's Sky Prides. Otherwise, he would not be ranked 9th on the Dragon Phoenix list. Seeing Gu Xiaoyang make a move, the others also began to use their own methods. Under such bombardment, even the tough shell on the Blood Demon King's body began to crack, and countless wounds appeared. Finally, with a roar, it exploded into countless pieces of blood foam. Just as the King of Blood Devils fell, Yizichen's eyes lit up. The eyes of the 7 sky prides lit up, and they immediately charged toward the blood-colored gem. No one can stop me, young Master Xingyun. Gu Xiaoyang used the 1000 Stars Pilgrimage Sword Technique again. A turbulent sea of stars appeared, and countless sword chi spread out in all directions. You live up to your reputation as one of the top 10 young masters, but that's all you've got. Yitsangshan smiled faintly, and his true chi surged into the demonic edge sword. He slashed out with his sword, and the sword's shadow turned into a black stream of light that swept out. Sword shadow, demonic flow. Kaboom! The void trembled, and sword rays shot out in all directions. This move actually ended in a draw. Who are you? Gu Xiaoyang's face darkened. Ha! Anyway, we're in the Sky Pride's battlefield, and we'll meet sooner or later. Why do I have to say it now? Yitsangshan smiled faintly. You're from the dark world. Yitsangyue frowned. Ha! Yitsangshan laughed but did not say anything. Ha, I don't want to give up on this opportunity either. Wan giggled and waved her hand. The most powerful martial technique of the extermination demonic sect, the Tua Luo extermination light, appeared and swept forward. It could be said that after the Blood Demon King died, everyone began to use all their means to fight for the greatest opportunity in the Azura Bloody Road. Just as everyone was fighting intensely, the sound of a heartbeat came from the blood-colored gem again. The power of the heartbeat seemed to have resonated with the gem. Apart from Dugu Qiuma, everyone's heart trembled, and they spat out a mouthful of blood. Their strength was greatly suppressed. How can this be? Gu Xiaoyang's face froze. Just the sound of a heartbeat was enough to make sky prides like them spit out blood. Just how powerful was that supreme expert? Just as everyone was shocked in their hearts, a figure charged towards the blood-colored gem with lightning speed. It was Dugu Qiuma. Chapter 1185. Damn it! Seeing Duguqimo rush towards the blood-red gem, Gu Xiaoyang, Yi Cangshan, and Yuan Hua's faces darkened. The heartbeat from the blood-red gem had caught them off guard and injured them. Their strength was suppressed, and their speed was slowed down. However, they could not understand why Duguqimo was immune to the heartbeat. They did not know that Duguqimo did not have a real heart, so he would not be affected. In the end, this opportunity still belongs to me. Duguqimo's eyes shone brightly. Once he obtained this opportunity, he would be able to better help his original body, Yi Guqin, to deal with the upcoming battles. However, just as Duguqimo's hand was about to grab the blood-red gem, a sword tore through the air and stabbed towards Duguqimo's heart. Young Master Dugu, be careful. Wan Er's face under the veil paled slightly when she saw this. It was not because she was worried about Duguqimo. It was because Duguqimo was a demonic emperor phenomenon. If he died like this, it would be a great loss to the demonic extermination sect. Duguqimo turned his head and saw that the person holding the sword was Yi Cangyue. A strange light appeared on Yi Cangyue's body like a full moon. It covered her body and made her look like a fairy from the Moon Palace. It made her look even more beautiful. Immortal divine fetus. Duguqimo immediately reacted. Why was Yi Cangyue immune to the heartbeat suppression? It was because the immortal divine fetus protected Yi Cangyue. At that moment, Yi Cangyue stabbed her sword towards Duguqimo's left chest. If Duguqimo continued to snatch the blood-red gem, his chest would undoubtedly be pierced through by the sword. If he gave up, it would be very difficult for Dugu and Qimo to fight for it after Gu Xiaoyang and the others recovered. Perhaps this is a choice of life and death to others, but it's nothing to me. Duguqimo laughed coldly. He ignored Yi Cangyue's attack and grabbed the blood-red gem instead. At the same time, Yi Cangyue's sword pierced through Duguqimo's chest. Humph. Idiot. Gu Xiaoyang sneered. In his opinion, disregarding one's life to fight for a fortuitous encounter was undoubtedly foolish to the extreme. No. Wanner cried out. It had not been easy for them to find a demon emperor phenomenon user, but he had fallen at Yi Cangyue's hands just like that. With his heart pierced through, no one would think that Dugu would be able to survive. Heh. You call yourself a fairy, but your resolute methods aren't much worse than the witches. Duguqimo's lips curled into a cold smile. Yi Cangyue was slightly surprised to see Duguqimo so calm despite knowing that he was going to die. You were born to bring blood and slaughter. Instead of becoming a demon your entire life, it's better to be free now, Yi Cangyue said nonchalantly. Hee, what a good way to be free. Duguqimo shook his head. Then, he suddenly realized that the blood-red gem in his hand was as fragile as glass. He crushed it with just a little force. Then, a blood-red vortex appeared and sucked Duguqimo and Yi Cangyue into it. Then, the vortex disappeared. What? What's going on, Fairy Cangyue? Gu Xiaoyang was stunned and froze on the spot. Yi Cangshan's face also darkened instantly. He finally understood that the blood-red gem was not a fortuitous encounter, but the key to it. Wanner, on the other hand, was in a daze. She had come here for nothing. Is he dead? Princess Luoxia muttered to herself. For some reason, she should have been happy, but she did not feel any joy. She even felt that it was unreal. Had the white-haired sword demon, who had been invincible since his rise, really died just like that? Humph, it's good that he died. Unfortunately, he didn't die under my halberd, Yuan Hua said coldly. The people outside had different emotions. Duguqimo and Yi Cangyue were in a strange blood-red space. In this space, there was nothing else but the Yellow Springs blood river that flowed in a meandering manner. At the end of the blood river, a bright red heart was beating loudly. The strange heartbeat from before came from this heart. Thump, thump, every time the blood-red heart beat, it seemed to shake the void, causing cracks to appear in the surrounding space. Whose heart is that? Duguchilma's eyes were filled with doubt. You're not dead. Yi Tsangyue was shocked. Her sword was still in Duguchilma's chest. However, Duguchilma looked as if nothing had happened. There was not even a drop of blood. Yi Tsangyue, you want to kill me just because I triggered the demon emperor descending to the ninth heaven vision. Is this the justice you speak of? Duguchilma placed his hand on the blade of Yi Tsangyue's sword and pulled it out inch by inch. Although his chest had been pierced, only wisps of black gas were emitted. Your heart isn't on the left. Yi Tsangyue suddenly realized. Sorry, I'll kill those who want me, Duguchilma, to die first. Duguchilma's eyes sharpened. He used the battle god demon body and the heaven-devouring secret skill at the same time. He used the god-devouring sword and swept it toward Yi Tsangyue. Originally, Duguchilma was hesitant about whether he should maintain a good relationship with Yi Tsangyue because she had the immortal divine embryo. This way, Yi Guchen's original body could obtain the innate indestructible sword embryo in the future. But now, Yi Tsangyue wanted to kill him completely. This touched Duguchilma's bottom line. No matter what, I'll suppress you first. Duguchilma used the demon 13 swords, and a pitch-black sword light shot out. Yi Tsangyue also attacked, and her sword moves were swift and fierce. As a heaven's pride of the Misty Sword Pavilion and a grade 8 heaven's pride, Yi Tsangyue's strength was unquestionable. At the moment, the two of them couldn't care less about the Yellow Springs Blood River and the mysterious heart. When their moves collided, sparks flew and true chi shook. Your true strength isn't even at the divine dwelling stage, but you have such strength. You're indeed a demon emperor phenomenon. Yi Tsangyue was completely sure. So, you want to kill me to prevent me from being recruited by the Destruction Demon sect? Duguchilma sneered and continued to attack. If you didn't do evil, I wouldn't have done this. But you slaughtered 13 cities. Do you have any pity in your heart? Yi Tsangyue shouted coldly. Pity? Ha, so what if those overlord forces claim to be righteous? What about Gu Xiaoyang's character? Is he righteous? Duguchilma sneered. Justice had always been determined by the strong. Gu Xiaoyang was very strong, so everything he did was reasonable. Di Haotian was very strong, so it was reasonable for him to destroy the Su family and forcefully suppress Su Jianshi. No one would say that Di Haotian was a demon or an executioner. Moreover, although Duguchilma had slaughtered 13 cities, almost all of them were evil people. Duguchilma wasn't a madman who would kill anyone he saw. Duguchilma wouldn't kill innocent people. Yi Tsangyue had only seen one side, but she had already judged that Duguchilma was a demon king who couldn't be saved. No matter what, you'll only become a demon king if you're together with that witch. Yi Tsangyue shouted, and the power of the immortal divine embryo spread out again. The strange light instantly suppressed Duguchilma. Moreover, the light had the effect of restraining demonic chi, and Duguchilma felt as if he was imprisoned. Not good. Duguchilma raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Yi Tsangyue's immortal divine embryo to be able to restrain demonic chi. Even the soul-devouring demon eye was affected. At that very moment, Yi Tsangyue's sword stabbed forward again, piercing through Duguchilma's right chest and the longevity wood core. In an instant, Duguchilma's life essence plummeted. Chapter 1186. This time, Yi Tsangyue's sword pierced through the longevity wood core in Duguchilma's right chest. The longevity wood core was the source of Duguchilma's life essence. Without the longevity wood core, Duguchilma would lose his source of life. Duguchilma's face darkened. Ever since he was refined by Yi Guchen, he had been in a dangerous situation. This was the first time he had fallen into such a dangerous situation. I'm sorry, Duguchilma. The existence of a demon emperor phenomenon can only lead to endless slaughter and bloodshed. This may not be a bad ending for you. Yi Tsangyue's expression was cold. She did not look relaxed or happy. To her, this was just the completion of a mission. What a good ending. Unfortunately, I, Dugu cannot be judged by just anyone. Not even you, Lee Sang-yue. Dugu clutched the wound in his right chest. Life essence leaked out continuously. Right now, there was only one way to survive, and that was the mysterious heart. Dugu footsteps flashed as he turned around and charged toward the heart. Impossible. Lee Sang-yue moved gracefully and slashed down again, adding a new wound to Dugu back. Dugu body shook again. Black chi spread from his wound. His pure demon body showed signs of disintegration for the first time. This woman's immortal divine embryo is so powerful. It can perfectly restrain my demon body. Dugu expression was cold. The immortal divine embryo's power seemed to be the most perfect, pure, and flawless power in the world. Demon chi happened to be the opposite of this power. Lee Sang-yue's cultivation was higher than Dugu. Therefore, his pure demon body was completely restrained by the immortal divine embryo. As expected of the innate ability of a rank 8 prodigy. However, it's too easy for you to kill me, Dugu. Dugu tenacity was not inferior to Yiguchen's. Devil chi leaked out of his body, but he still stubbornly charged towards the mysterious heart. I'm sorry, but your path ends here. Lee Sang-yue raised her sword. She used the Misty Sword Pavilion's ancestral sword art, the Misty Sword Art. The sword swept out, and the sword light spread out like a waterfall, sweeping towards Dugu's face changed. Just as he was about to go all out, a hoarse voice with a hint of coldness suddenly sounded. I can feel it. It's a move that makes me feel somewhat disgusted, this voice echoed throughout the blood-colored space. Then, a beam of bloody light shot out from the Yellow Springs Blood River and cancelled out Lee Sang-yue's sword light. Who is it? Lee Sang-yue was on guard. Dugu and Chiomo also looked around. A towering figure appeared above the mysterious heart. That figure was a middle-aged man wearing blood-colored Azura armor. His hands were behind his back, and there seemed to be a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood behind him. The Yellow Springs Blood River circled around him, giving him the aura of a ruler of hell. You are, Lee Sang-yue, and Dugu's eyes froze. Azura Saint King. The 4 words seemed to be able to suppress thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. A Saint King expert. Lee Sang-yue and Dugu's faces changed. A Saint King of a domain could shake mountains and rivers, and suppress the sun, moon, and stars. Even in the Nantian region, they were experts at the top of the pyramid. Even someone as strong as the proud divine region could kill 3 saints in a row at the half-step Saint King realm, shocking the world. One could only imagine how powerful a true Saint King would be. So, the inheritance of the supreme expert in the deepest part of the Azura blood road refers to this Azura Saint King, Dugu muttered to himself. At the same time, he also understood the origin of the Azura blood. It was the mysterious heart, the heart of the Azura Saint King. The heart of a Saint King expert had boundless energy. It was no wonder that Gu Xiaoyang and the others vomited blood and were injured when they heard the heartbeat. However, although Lee Sang-yue and Dugu were slightly surprised, they did not panic. This was because they could feel that the Azura Saint King before them was only a consciousness clone, and he did not have the power of a Saint King. The Misty Sword technique of the Misty Sword Pavilion is still so annoying. The Azura Saint King's eyes flashed coldly, as if he had recalled some unpleasant memories. Seeing this, Lee Sang-yue's face changed. Senior, do you have some grudges with the Misty Sword Pavilion? Ha! That old witch Jia is still alive, right? The Azura Saint King sneered. What? Lee Sang-yue's face changed. Jia was the previous pavilion master of the Misty Sword Pavilion. Her seniority and strength were frighteningly high. This Azura Saint King was actually someone from the same generation as Jia. This shocked Lee Sang-yue. On the other side, Dugu eyes flashed as he said, Senior, if you have a grudge with the Misty Sword Pavilion, can you help this junior? This junior agrees to help senior deal with the Misty Sword Pavilion. Duguchilma did not want to die. He had to live. And this mysterious Azura Saint King's grudges with the Misty Sword Pavilion was the best place to start. Yi Sang-yue gritted her teeth. She did not expect Duguchilma to take advantage of this loophole. You're a little interesting. The Azura Saint King turned to look at Duguchilma. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Obviously, he also saw the uniqueness of Duguchilma's physique. Interesting. Is this the will of the heavens? It seems like the only person who can inherit my heart is you, said the Azura Saint King. When he was about to die, he accidentally came to the Mola dynasty and opened up the Azura Bloody Road. It was all to find his successor. However, after a long time, there was still no one who was qualified to inherit his legacy. And Duguchilma was the most suitable candidate to inherit the Azura Saint King's legacy. What? Yi Sang-yue's eyes changed. If the Azura Saint King helped Duguchilma, the situation would not be good. Kid, I'm from the Dark World. In the future, you must help the Dark World rise up, said the Azura Saint King. The Dark World again. Duguchilma said in his heart. Shui Yiqing from the Bloodthirst Tower brought Shui heir to the Dark World. The Demon Sword Emperor, Jitian, was also an expert from the Dark World. He had once killed countless people in the Nantian region. Yi Tsangshan, who was ranked first on the blood ranking, also came from the Dark World. And now, the Azura Saint King also came from the Dark World. What kind of existence was the Dark World? What did it have to do with the Nantian region? But now, Duguchilma did not think too much. He could only agree. Seeing this, the Azura Saint King waved his hand. The beating heart turned into a blood-red stream of light and entered Duguchilma's body, replacing the broken longevity wood core. In an instant, Duguchilma felt a terrifying blood energy spread out, as if it was going to burst his pure demon body. Seeing this, the Azura Saint King pointed with his finger. Seal. The boundless power in the heart was immediately sealed by more than half. On the other side, Yi Sang-yue could only watch and could not interfere. She did not expect the situation to turn out this way. However, just as Duguchilma's body began to merge with the heart, the Azura Saint King's gaze fell on Yi Sang-yue with an inexplicable meaning. Yi Sang-yue suddenly felt a sense of danger. Ha! With my identity, I won't do anything to a junior like you. However, the special power in your body can better allow that kid to merge with my heart, so, the Azura Saint King smiled faintly. Yi Sang-yue's expression froze. Chapter 1187. How could she not understand the meaning behind the Azura Sage King's words? The power of the immortal divine embryo that she possessed was very helpful for Duguchilma to fuse with the Sage King's heart. Therefore, the Azura Sage King wanted to use a certain method to let Duguchilma be imbued with this power. As for what method it was, Yi Sang-yue did not dare to think about it. Senior, you're a Sage King expert. Are you going to make things difficult for a weak girl? Yi Sang-yue's body tensed up as she bit her lips with a serious expression. Ha, there are no weak girls in the Misty Sword Pavilion. Moreover, you almost killed this brat just now. This is considered compensation. The Azura Sage King raised his hand as he spoke. A ball of blood spurted out from the yellow spring blood river and condensed into a blood-red ribbon that bound Yi Sang-yue. Even though the Azura Sage King had already fallen, he was not someone that Yi Sang-yue could resist. Soon, Yi Sang-yue was bound like a prey that fell into a spider's web. Senior, this. Duguchilma's eyes flashed as he did not understand what the Azura Sage King was trying to do. A gentleman has the beauty to fulfill someone's wish. Although I'm not a gentleman, it's not bad to have a beautiful marriage after my death. The Azura Sage King smiled faintly. What? Yi Sang-yue's mind shook violently, and her face that was as cold as frost became as pale as paper. She understood the meaning behind the Azura Sage King's words. He wanted to use a special method to make her and Dugu Chilma fuse together. Lee Sang-yue's usually cold and beautiful face was in a mess as her heart was in turmoil. Dugu Chilma did not say anything as he was trying his best to fuse with the Azura Sage King's heart. However, he had heard the Azura Sage King's words. Ha! Lee Sang-yue, it seems like there's still some karma between us, Dugu Chilma muttered. The innate sword embryo and the immortal divine embryo had some kind of karmic connection after all. Although it was not Yiguchen's true body, Dugu Chilma was no different from Yiguchen. They shared a consciousness and soul. In the future, they would have the ability to fuse together and transform into their strongest form. Therefore, the union between Lee Sang-yue and Dugu was, in a way, a union with Yiguchen. No. How could this be? Lee Sang-yue's genuine chi burst forth, and the power of the immortal divine embryo was pushed to the extreme. She wanted to break free from the blood-colored ribbon, but it was in vain. It's best if you don't put up any unnecessary resistance. The Azura Saint King smiled faintly. Even though she was only left with a subconscious clone, a sacred king was still a sacred king. Lee Sang-yue was still powerless to resist. Then, the Azura Saint King sent 2 balls of blood-red light into Lee Sang-yue and Dugu Chilma's bodies. Instantly, Lee Sang-yue felt her entire body heat up, and her snow-white skin was flushed red. Her eyes, which were originally as cold as the moon, gradually became a little dazed. However, she still gritted her teeth and persevered. As expected of a disciple of the Misty Sword Pavilion. The Azura Saint King shook his head and snapped his fingers. A mysterious force seemed to be boiling in Lee Sang-yue's delicate body, causing her to be dazzled. She flew straight towards Dugu Chilma. A pair of slender snow-white arms wrapped around Dugu Chilma's neck. Although Dugu Chilma was also hit by the Azura Saint King's blood-red light, his perverted willpower was so strong that it did not affect him too much. Looking at Lee Sang-yue, who was chasing after him and piercing through his chest, at this moment, she was like a thirsty woman, yearning for him. Dugu Chilma could not help but sigh. Every dog has its day. Seeing that Dugu Chilma did not do anything, the Azura Saint King raised his eyebrows slightly and said, "Why? Don't tell me that you want to be a gentleman. Wouldn't that be too boring?" The Azura Saint King did not like hypocrites and moralists. Dugu Chilma smiled and said, "Senior, you've misunderstood. In this woman's eyes, I, Dugu Chilma, am already an unpardonable villain. If that's the case, why should I be an unperturbed Lu Xiaohui?" Dugu Chilma's lips curled into a sinister sneer. If it was Yiguchen himself, he might still be able to uphold the etiquette of a gentleman. However, Dugu Chilma was the other side of Yiguchen. He was the incarnation of a demon. As a demon, if he were to be timid and overcautious, he would not have the demeanor of a demon. Since Lee Sang-yue believed that Dugu Chilma was destined to become an unparalleled demon king, then, Dugu Chilma might as well become an unparalleled demon king. "Ha, you've inherited my Saint King's heart. Don't disappoint me." The Azura Saint King waved his hand, and blood-red light surged from the Yellow Springs Blood River, turning into a blood-red ball of light that enveloped Lee Sang-yue and Dugu Chilma. Within the blood-red ball of light, Lee Sang-yue was delirious, but she still retained a trace of her consciousness. A teardrop fell from her misty eyes. It contrasted with the mole at the corner of her left eye, adding a touch of poignant beauty. "Dugu Chilma, if you really harm my body, I, Lee Sang-yue, will never let you off." Lee Sang-yue sobbed. She was the ethereal sword pavilion's fairy Sang-yue, an immortal. Dugu Chilma was a demon that attracted the demon emperor to the 9 heavens. Immortals and demons were destined to be enemies, just like her and witch Wan, However, Lee Sang-yue did not expect Wan, to be right. The immortal and the demon king were about to be together. "Ha! Don't worry. I, Dugu Chilma, will accompany you to the end." Dugu Chilma laughed heartily. He would accompany you to the end. That was Dugu Chilma's promise. You. Lee Sang-yue's last trace of consciousness was completely lost. The two of them hugged each other. Outside, the Azura Sage King muttered to himself, "This kid is really mysterious. Even I can't see through him. Is he the turning point of the dark world? The three hidden forces and the various overlords, just you wait. The dark world's counterattack is coming." The Azura Sage King's eyes were cold. Time passed. After an unknown period of time, the blood-red ball of light dissipated, revealing two figures. Duguchilma was dressed in black. His white hair fluttered in the wind, and his vitality was as vigorous as a dragon's. As for Itsangyue, she was exhausted and had fainted. Duguchilma helped her put on a moon-white robe. "How is it? Are you satisfied with this opportunity?" The Azura Sage King smiled. "Thank you, Senior." Duguchilma cupped his fists. The heart of the Sage King had completely replaced the longevity wood core and became Duguchilma's heart. Because of the heart of the Azura Sage King, his body had completely turned into a body of flesh and blood. He could bleed and was no longer like before, where he only emitted black gas. At the same time, Duguchilma's battle god demonic body had also reached the third refinement stage. His cultivation base had also broken through to the third firmament of the divine dwelling realm by relying on the heart of the Sage King and the power of Itsangyue's immortal divine embryo. Moreover, his divine dwelling was no ordinary divine dwelling. It was blood-red. The blood-red divine dwelling was called the Azura divine dwelling, and it was also a flawless divine dwelling. It also had the ability to turn ordinary true Qi into blood-red Azura true Qi. The blood-red Azura true Qi was more lethal than ordinary true Qi. It could be said that the heart of the Azura Sage King had caused a qualitative change in Duguchilma's strength. But that was not all. The Azura Sage King had left a great opportunity here, and he wanted to pass it on to Duguchilma. Chapter 1188. Not bad. Looks like you've perfectly fused with my heart. However, there's another opportunity here that's even more valuable than my heart, said the Azura Saint King. The greatest opportunity. Duguchilma was slightly stunned as he stared at the yellow spring blood river. Could it be? That's right. It's this yellow spring blood river. Do you know what this yellow spring blood river is? Asked the Azura Saint King. I don't know, Duguchilma said honestly. The Saint King realm was too far away from him. Duguchilma could not understand the Azura Saint King's methods. The Azura Saint King was not surprised. There are 9 levels of Heaven's Tribulation. The first to third levels are Heaven's Tribulation Saints, while the fourth and sixth levels are Realms Saint Kings. I'm a 4th level Saint King, but do you know the difference between a saint and a Saint King? Duguchilma shook his head. So far, whether it was him or Yiguchen, the strongest person they had met was the half-step Saint King of the Proud Divine Continent. The Proud Divine Continent was still half a step away from the Saint King realm, so Duguchilma did not know the secret of the Saint King. The Azura Saint King continued, Saint Kings are also known as Realms Saint Kings. The biggest difference between them and a saint is that they can condense a realm and use the realm's power to suppress everything. Realm's power? Duguchilma raised his eyebrows. Next, the Azura Saint King gave a general explanation. If Heaven's Tribulation Saints comprehended the power of laws, then Realms Saint Kings condensed the realm's power. When the soul palace and spiritual abode reached the peak, they would be refined and fused by the Heaven's Tribulation, and the two powers would become one. At this time, the combination of the spiritual abode and soul palace would create a special domain called a realm. Powerhouses who comprehended different nomological powers would condense different bounded domains. For example, the Azura Saint King's realm was called the Yellow Spring Blood River, which was the blood-red river that Duguchilma saw. It could be said that the Yellow Spring Blood River was the Azura Saint King's greatest legacy. I see. In that case, there are some similarities between the realm domain and the sword Dao domain. Dugu asked. It is indeed similar, but there is still a fundamental difference between the two. The sword way domain can only be expanded with the way of the sword, while any Saint King expert has their own domain, said the Azura Saint King. Dugu Chuma nodded. If that was the case, then the value of the Yellow Springs Blood River was indeed immeasurable. Now, he finally understood why Yi Tsangshan had been so eager to obtain the legacy. Clearly, Yi Tsangshan and the Azura Saint King both came from the Dark World. It was understandable that he wanted the Azura Saint King's inheritance. If you've decided, I'll condense this realm and hand it over to you, the Azura Sage King said. But I don't want to walk the path of my predecessors. Dugu hesitated. If he inherited the Azura Saint King's bounded domain, would he be able to condense his own bounded domain when he became a Saint King in the future? Oh, are you going to reject me? The Azura Saint King narrowed his eyes. A terrifying pressure poured down on Dugu Chuma. One could imagine the pressure of a Saint King expert. Even if it was just a consciousness clone, it was definitely not something that a divine-dwelling expert could contend against. But Dugu Chuma's expression did not change. He said in a deep voice, if Senior's Yellow Springs Blood River blocks my path, then I won't accept it. He looked at the young man who was still calm and composed under his pressure. The Azura Saint King was taken aback at first, but then he suddenly laughed. The pressure also dissipated into nothingness. Ha, I didn't misjudge you. Don't worry, the Yellow Springs Blood River won't affect your path in the future, said the Azura Saint King. Thank you, Senior. Dugu Chuma said. The Azura Saint King raised his hand. In the blood-red space, the entire Yellow Springs Blood River suddenly surged. It then shrank and condensed into a ball of viscous liquid the size of a fist. It directly entered Dugu Chuma's dantian. The Yellow Springs Blood River had various means of sealing, suppressing, refining, and attacking. This was the strongest manifestation of the Azura Sage King's law power. With Dugu Chuma's current realm, it was difficult for him to unleash even 1% of the Yellow Springs Blood River's power. But even so, the Yellow Springs Blood River was enough to be Dugu's trump card. Since you have inherited my legacy, you are my successor. If you have the chance in the future, you can go to the Azura domain in the Dark World. Keep this Azura Lord token. As the Azura Sage King spoke, he took out a blood-colored token. Dugu begged the demon to accept it. He didn't know where the world of darkness was, nor did he know where the Azura territory was. However, it wouldn't be too late to consider such matters in the future. Alright, this matter is concluded. Now, the entire Azura Blood Road will no longer exist. You can all leave. The Azura Saint King waved his hand. Now that he had found a successor, one of his wishes had been fulfilled. After that, the Azura Saint King's consciousness clone faded into the void. Thank you, Senior. Dugu cupped his hands slightly. This trip to the Azura Blood Road could be said to be a fruitful one. Although the longevity wood core was broken, he had obtained an even more powerful heart of the Saint King. It had also transformed his pure demon body into a real body of flesh and blood. Of course, he was immune to most poisons and pain, and other abilities. My original body has the ancient god's heart, and I have the Azura Saint King's heart. Interesting. Dugu Chuma chuckled. However, his gains were not only that. His cultivation had directly broken through to the third heaven of the divine dwelling realm. His battle god demon body had also broken through to the third revolution. The divine dwelling was also a flawless blood-colored Azura divine dwelling that could condense Azura true chi. More importantly, he had obtained the Azura Saint King's realm and the inheritance of the Yellow Springs Blood River. Of course, Dugu Chuma didn't forget that the most important things he had obtained weren't these. Dugu Chuma turned his gaze to Yi Tsangyue, who was still unconscious. Even in a coma, Yi Tsangyue's face was so beautiful that it was soul-stirring. Her face, which was originally as cold as frost, was now flushed red. There seemed to be a few drops of tears hanging from her long eyelashes, which set off the mole at the corner of her eye. It made Yi Tsangyue look even more delicate and delicate. Dugu Chuma indifferently walked forward, his indifferent eyes containing a wisp of extremely complicated emotions. He didn't have too many feelings. This was because he had inherited Yiguchen's heavenly fiend fate. Therefore, he was destined to be lonely. It was because of this that Dugu Chilma had told Qingqing not to have any feelings for him. In the end, she would only feel sad. However, Dugu Chilma didn't expect that he would develop such an ill-fated relationship with Yi Tsangyue. Just as Dugu Chilma was sighing inwardly, Yi Tsangyue suddenly opened her cold moon-like eyes, which were filled with shame, despair, and resentment. Die! Yi Tsangyue suddenly lunged forward, thrusting her sword towards Dugu Chilma's heart. Just as the tip of her sword was about to pierce through, Dugu Chilma stretched out his hand and grabbed the tip of Yi Tsangyue's sword. You! Yi Tsangyue's expression changed. Do you think that I will just stand there and let you stab me to make up for the guilt in my heart? Sorry, I, Dugu Chilma, am not that kind of person. Chapter 1189. Dugu's tone was as cold as ice. Yi Tsangyue's expression changed. Previously, Yiguchen had willingly allowed Situ Hongxue to stab him in the heart in order to make up for the guilt in his heart. But Dugu Chilma was not that kind of person. He would not sacrifice his own interests for a mere woman, even if this woman was extremely beautiful and had the reputation of a fairy. Dugu Chilma. Yi Tsangyue gritted her teeth so hard that they almost broke. The pain coming from her lower body made her feel as if it was unreal. Her virginity had been taken away by the white-haired sword demon in front of her. One should know that Yi Tsangyue was an 8th-grade prodigy of the Misty Sword Pavilion and an existence on the Dragon Phoenix list. It was one thing for her to be strong, but the key point was that she was equally beautiful. She was known as Fairy Tsangyue in the Nantian region. The number of young geniuses pursuing Yi Tsangyue was as numerous as the carps in the river. But Yi Tsangyue was cold and arrogant. She was focused on cultivation and did not speak to the opposite sex. Even an outstanding prodigy like Gu Xiaoyang could not win Yi Tsangyue's heart even after pursuing her for a long time. And now, Yi Tsangyue's virginity had been taken away by Dugu Chilma. Yi Tsangyue could not accept this at all. Boom! Yi Tsangyue released the aura of the 6th level of the Divine Dwelling Realm and activated the power of the immortal Divine Embryo. Suddenly, a round and flawless brilliance appeared and suppressed Dugu Chilma. Previously, Yi Tsangyue had used the power of the immortal Divine Embryo to force Dugu Chilma into a desperate situation. But now, Dugu Chilma released the power of the 3rd level of the Divine Dwelling Realm. Together with the blood-colored Azura Divine Dwelling, he was no weaker than Yi Tsangyue. Moreover, his heart was the heart of the Azura Sage King. Even if the Sage King's heart had most of its power sealed, it was enough to provide Dugu Chilma with powerful energy. Dugu Chilma smiled and said, Yi Tsangyue, things are different now. Even if you activate the power of the immortal Divine Embryo, you will not be able to suppress me. His cultivation level had skyrocketed, and his pure demonic body had also transformed. Naturally, he would not be restrained by the immortal Divine Embryo like before. Just as the two of them were fighting endlessly, the entire blood-red space began to tremble and crack. This place is about to collapse, Dugu pleaded. Not only this space, but the entire Azura Blood Road would soon collapse. Dugu, I, Yi Tsangyue, have said that I will never let you off. Yi Tsangyue bit her lips so hard that they almost broke. Ha! To have such a beautiful fairy follow me for all eternity, I, Dugu, am not qualified to beg the devil. Dugu smiled, not minding it at all. A blood-red vortex appeared beside them and swallowed them up. At the same time, in the Scarlet Palace, Yi Tsangshan, Gu Xiaoyang, and the others all had ugly expressions. They knew that the blood-red gem was the key to the true opportunity. However, he missed them by a wide margin. In addition, Gu Xiaoyang was worried about Yi Tsangyue's condition. Although he had seen Yi Tsangyue's sword pierce through Dugu Chilma's chest, he was still shocked. But for some reason, Gu Xiaoyang felt restless and uneasy. Princess Luo Ho, on the other hand, had an indescribable feeling. She should have felt relieved that Duguchilma was dead. However, that was not the case in reality. Yuan Huo was the only one who felt relieved. On the other hand, the witch was the opposite. Her face, which was covered by a black veil, was extremely cold and resentful. I've worked so hard for so long, but it's all in vain. Wan gritted her teeth angrily. She had spent so much time tracking the demon emperor phenomenon to the Mola dynasty. She had finally found Duguchilma after much difficulty, but he had died in the end. One could only imagine how furious Wan was. However, at that moment, the entire Scarlet Palace suddenly shook. What's going on? The 5 people present were slightly shocked. Then, the void distorted, and a blood-red vortex appeared. 2 figures flashed out from the front and back. When Wan saw the 2 figures clearly, she covered her mouth and exclaimed in disbelief, Duguchilma, you're still alive? The figure in front was Duguchilma. How is that possible? Yuan Huo was also shocked. They had seen Yitsang-Yue's sword pierce through Duguchilma's chest with their own eyes. Logically speaking, Duguchilma should not have survived. Princess Luoho was also surprised, but she secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Princess Luoho was surprised by her own emotions. On the other side, Yitsang-Yue stared at Duguchilma with her clear eyes. Her hand that was holding the sword was trembling slightly. However, she did not say anything. Fairy Yitsang-Yue, are you all right? Gu Xiaoyang went forward and asked with concern. When Duguchilma saw this, he said indifferently, she's all right. She's just bleeding a little. What? You dared to hurt Fairy Yitsang-Yue? Gu Xiaoyang's face immediately darkened. However, when Yitsang-Yue heard this, she was even more ashamed and angry. How could she not understand the meaning behind Duguchilma's words? When Duguchilma saw this, he shook his head lightly. If Gu Xiaoyang knew the cruel truth, how would he react? Although Duguchilma did not have the confidence to kill Gu Xiaoyang, but he had defeated him in another aspect. By the way, I still need to find someone to spar with and measure my strength after the transformation. Duguchilma thought. At this moment, a vigorous killing intent swept out again. It was Yuan Huo. Duguchilma, you're really lucky. But this is also good. Killing you with my halberd will be the best revenge. Yuan Huo's voice was cold. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he held the black gold halberd in his hand. He originally regretted not being able to kill Duguchilma with his own hands. But now, he finally had the opportunity. Since Yuan Huo wanted to die, Duguchilma could only fulfill his wish. Kill! Yuan Huo erupted with the true qi of the 4th layer of the divine dwelling stage. The black gold halberd violently swept toward Duguchilma. I'm not the same as before. Duguchilma muttered to himself. Facing Yuan Huo, Duguchilma didn't even need to use the sky-devouring secret technique. He activated the blood-red Azura divine dwelling in his dantian, and blood-red true qi gushed out like a volcanic eruption. Blood qi filled the sky and shook the void. Although he was only at the 3rd layer of the divine dwelling stage, the aura that erupted was no weaker than Yuan Huo's. How is it possible, your cultivation level? The moment Duguchilma's aura erupted, the expressions of several people, including Yuan Huo, changed. This time around, Duguchilma was not using a secret technique. Instead, he was truly using his own power. But Yuan Huo couldn't believe that Duguchilma could break through the divine dwelling stage in such a short time, and even soar to the 3rd layer of the divine dwelling stage. He must have obtained the inheritance of that supreme expert. Yi Tsangxin's eyes suddenly turned fierce. Now, facing Yuan Huo's attack, Duguchilma's expression was indifferent. The 3rd place on the blood ranking is nothing to me now. Duguchilma raised his hand and swung out the god-devouring sword. Blood-red Azura true qi poured into it. 100 feet long blood-red sword light slashed down like an Azura sword god, breaking the abyss with one sword. Chapter 1190. Duguchyoma's strength had skyrocketed after he received the Azura Saint King's inheritance. His cultivation base was at the 3rd level of the Divine Dwelling, and he had a flawless Azura Divine Dwelling. Duguchyoma could contend against Yuanhua without using the sky-devouring secret technique or other amplification techniques. Rumble. 100-foot-long blood-red sword light came crashing down like a blood moon. Yuanhua brandished his black-gold halberd and raised it horizontally. When the weapons collided, it was as if stars had exploded, bursting out violent blasts and sparks. The entire blood-red palace trembled violently, and cracks appeared in the void. The Azura blood path is about to collapse. Gu Xiaoyang and the others were startled. But they couldn't continue to stay here, so they could only temporarily withdraw from the blood-red palace. Yi Tsangyue glanced at Duguchyoma, gritted her teeth, and also flashed out. I'll find out more about the opportunity from him later. Yi Tsangshan pondered for a moment, then also turned and left the blood-red palace. Duguchyoma, do you need Wan to help you? Wan Er's eyes flashed. There's no need. You go out first and wait for me outside, Duguchyoma said. Princess Luoho hesitated for a moment, staring at Duguchyoma with her beautiful eyes under the mask. She bit her lips and said coldly, Duguchyoma, I haven't settled the score between you and me. You can't die before that. Ha! Duguchyoma chuckled and didn't say anything. In the blink of an eye, only Yuanhua and Duguchyoma were left in the trembling blood-red palace. Duguchyoma, what opportunity did you obtain? Yuanhua fixed his gaze on Duguchyoma. He had fought with Duguchyoma before, and although he didn't gain any advantage, he didn't feel that Duguchyoma was strong. But now, Duguchyoma seemed to have been reborn after coming out of that space, and his strength had soared several times. I will tell you, but only when you are about to die. Duguchyoma laughed coldly. Arrogant. Yuanhua's face was extremely cold. His black hair danced wildly as his genuine chi surged. As the strongest heaven's pride of Mystic Demon Palace and ranked 3rd on the blood ranking, he had never been looked down upon like this. Heavenly Wasteland Slash. Yuanhua held the black gold halberd with both hands and infused it with vigorous genuine chi. His halberd slashed down vertically, as if it could split the sky. Duguchyoma performed the Demon 13 swords again. The blood-colored sword rays crisscrossed and swept in all directions, forming a dense sword net that clashed with Yuanhua's move. Boom! 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 Continuous explosions rang out as the two of them collided with each other like meteors. Yuanhua held the halberd in one hand and slashed down again. His other hand formed a seal and a black seal froze in the void. Then, it pushed toward Dugu. Yuan devouring explosion. Duguchyoma reached out with one hand. Black demonic light exploded in the void, shattering the seal. At the same time, the God Devourer sword blocked the attack of the black gold halberd. More cracks appeared on the blade of the black gold halberd. How could this be? Yuanhua's eyes darkened again. Although his black gold halberd was a quasi-heavenly tribulation divine weapon, its material was extremely heavy and hard. Its sturdiness was comparable to a true heavenly tribulation divine weapon. However, he would never know that Duguchyoma God Devourer sword was a primordial demonic sword. At this moment, Duguchyoma activated the soul-devouring demonic eye again. A terrifying soul vibration power entered Yuanhua's sea of consciousness. Although Yuanhua's sea of consciousness wasn't weak, it was still affected. His soul force was affected, as if it was about to boil. Cough. Yuanhua snorted, feeling as if his head was about to explode. However, his willpower was still extraordinary. His sea of consciousness was also far stronger than ordinary heaven's prides, so he wouldn't be killed instantly. Duguchyoma took this opportunity to perform another ultimate move. Great God-devouring art. The power of devouring exploded, forming a black hole vortex above Duguchyoma as if it wanted to devour everything. The great god-devouring art was also a martial art of the Soul Devourer clan, so its power was needless to say. After Duguchyo Mo's cultivation base improved, the power of the great god-devouring art also doubled. Many items in the collapsing blood-red palace were swallowed by the black hole and turned into dust. Even Yuanhua couldn't control his body and was about to be sucked in. Demonic God Splitting Slash. Yuanhua's true chi burst forth as he hurriedly performed his ultimate move. Phantoms of demonic gods appeared around him, and it was as if the god of war of the underworld had attacked. A terrifying aura surged out as if it wanted to destroy everything. The black gold halberd in his hand swept across the sky, accompanied by phantoms of demonic gods, and slashed at the black hole vortex formed by the great god-devouring art. Boom! A violent explosion reverberated in all directions, and powerful ripples of air directly overturned the roof of the blood-red palace. Yizangyue, Gu Xiaoyang, Yizangshan, Wan, and Princess Luo Ho, who had left the blood-red palace, looked back with a trace of surprise. They didn't expect the shockwaves from the two's battle to be so intense. In the center of the battle, Yuanhua kept retreating, coughing blood from the corner of his mouth, and his black gold armor was shattered in many places. As for Duguchyo Mo's, although he was also injured, it didn't hurt him at all. This was because Duguchyo Mo's had the Saint King's heart. What was contained within was the Azura blood that was filled with vitality and vitality. Therefore, as long as he wasn't fatally injured, beheaded, or destroyed, Duguchyo Mo's wouldn't die. Damn it! Yuanhua's face was ferocious and unwilling. He didn't expect the white-haired sword demon, who he didn't take seriously before, to grow to a level that even he couldn't deal with. Final move, Blood Tears of Heaven. Yuanhua patted his chest with one hand, and his heart's essence blood spurted onto the black gold halberd, causing the halberd's blade to be covered in a mournful bloody light. He swept out with the halberd, stirring up the surrounding space with a bloody chi wave. At the same time, Yuanhua's other arm turned as black as ink almost instantly. It was Mystic Demon Palace's emperor-level martial art, Black Sky Demon Hand. Yuanhua performed the two ultimate moves at the same time, and their power was so overwhelming that the surrounding Azura blood sea started to surge violently. Seeing this, Duguchyo Mo's continued to perform the Demon 13 Swords. First move, Blood Kill. Second move, Vanishing Shadow. Third move, Burning Star. Fourth move, Moon Slashing. Fifth move, Eclipse. 5 swords were performed consecutively, and the sword light caused chaos in the world, collapsing the universe. But it wasn't over yet. Duguchyo Mo's performed the 6th move again. Devour Dusk. The sword light swept out, as if it could swallow the setting sun. Powerful sword chi swept out in all directions, causing the already unstable space of the Azura blood path to collapse. Boom! Indescribable shockwaves were produced, as if a nuclear bomb had exploded, and thick smoke rose. The violent shockwaves swept across the surrounding blood sea like a gale. Yizangyue, Wan, Gu Xiaoyang, and the others, who had left the blood-colored palace, all turned their heads to watch, wanting to know the result. Chapter 1191. The Azura blood sea exploded, creating huge waves. After the Azura Saint King's consciousness dissipated, the blood demons also melted into the blood sea. Walala, the blood that had soared into the sky fell back into the blood sea, creating a dense blood-colored mist. The sound of coughing blood came from the bloody mist. Yuanhua retreated hundreds of meters, his black and gold armor cracked and shattered. His body was covered with sword wounds, and blood flowed freely. He was in a sorry state. His eyes were bloodshot, and his chin was dripping with blood. He stared at the figure in front of him. Duguchyo Mo's figure appeared. His clothes were torn, especially his shoulder, which had been scratched by the black and gold halberd. His white bones could be seen clearly. However, Duguchyo Mo did not seem to feel any pain. He looked at Yuanhua indifferently. No. I can't accept this. Again. Yuanhua roared. All the blood vessels in his body exploded, and his qi and blood burned. Final move, reverse heaven and earth. Yuanhua tried his best to make a last stand. It's just a futile effort. Before Yuanhua's halberd could strike, Dugu Qiumo rushed to Yuanhua's side and said coldly. What I have is the Sage King's inheritance. Dugu Qiumo's cold murmur fell into Yuanhua's ears. His face froze, and his eyes slowly widened. The Sage King's inheritance. This was definitely an opportunity that Yuanhua could not imagine. The will to fight to the death that he had gathered was instantly extinguished. Puchi. Just as Yuanhua was about to give up, the God Devourer's sword pierced through his chest. A terrifying devouring power erupted, instantly absorbing and refining Yuanhua's qi and blood. The wounds on Dugu Qiumo's body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not far away, Yi Yue and the other four saw this scene and felt a chill in their hearts. Dugu Qiumo's method was indeed a real demon. No, he was more like a demon than a demon. It's such a waste for him not to join destruction. One commented. After killing Yuanhua, Dugu's score for Mo had undoubtedly reached the top of the leaderboard. However, Dugu Qiumo didn't plunder Yuanhua's Azura blood. Because he already had the heart of the Azura Sage King. With this heart, he would have an endless supply of Azura blood. This was because the source of the Azura blood in the Moro dynasty was the heart of the Azura Saint King. Moreover, the Azura blood had been diluted many times over. Dugu Qiumo could already foresee what kind of monstrous waves would be stirred up in the outside world. After all, the two geniuses of Mystic Demon Palace had died at his hands. After killing Yuanhua, Dugu Qiumo also stepped through the blood sea to come here. He knew that things weren't over yet. Gu Xiaoyang, Yi Zangshan, and the others were still eyeing him covetously. TSK. Dugu Qiumo, Wan is curious about your fortuitous encounter. I asked Sister Yue, but she refused to tell me. Wan smiled when she saw Dugu Qiumo arrive. Yi Yue's expression was a little unnatural as a layer of frost covered her face. Gu Xiaoyang also noticed that something was wrong with Yi Yue. However, his main focus was still on Dugu Qiumo's fortuitous encounter. Enough chit-chat. Hand over your fortuitous encounter, Yi Zangshan said coldly. He was straightforward. He came from the Dark World and was the young master of a huge force in the Dark World. He had found records about the Azura Sage King in an ancient book, which was why he came to the Moro dynasty to search. He finally confirmed that the inheritance might be in the depths of the Azura Blood Road. After searching for so long, how could Yi Zangshan be willing to hand over the fortuitous encounter to someone else? Gu Xiaoyang also said coldly, hand over the fortuitous encounter. It's not something you can have. Gu Xiaoyang's attitude was cold and condescending. He was like an immortal overlooking an ant in the mortal world. Dugu Qiumo's expression was extremely cold. Back then, Gu Xiaoyang had taken away Yi Guqin's Khanate sword embryo with such a condescending attitude. Later on in the Tianhuang Plains, he had also planted the soul spirit devouring parasite in Yi Guqin's dantian with such a condescending attitude. Now, he still had such a condescending attitude. It was because he came from an overlord force that he could look down on Gu Xiaoyang. Gu Xiaoyang, actually, there's something I've always wanted to say to you. Dugu Qiumo's lips curled into a cold arc as he tilted his head slightly. What? Gu Xiaoyang frowned slightly. Who do you think you are? Wan, and the others were stunned when they heard those words. They looked at Dugu Qiumo in surprise. There weren't many people in the Nantian region who dared to speak to Gu Xiaoyang like that. It could be said that other than the one monarch, the 4 sovereigns, and the 10 princes, the other elites wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in front of Gu Xiaoyang. Sure enough, after Dugu Qiumo's words left his mouth, Gu Xiaoyang's expression suddenly became gloomy. A terrifying storm of true energy spread out from his body, causing the surrounding stars to sparkle. It was as if a starry sky had appeared. From this, one could see how extraordinary Gu Xiaoyang was. Do you know who you're talking to? Gu Xiaoyang's face was as cold as ice. I know. A conceited, arrogant, and ignorant dead man, Dugu Qiuma said indifferently. He deserves to die. Gu Xiaoyang shouted coldly. Without saying anything else, he raised his hand and struck out the Daluo astral seal, which suppressed Dugu Qiuma. Dugu Qiuma also raised his hand and used the devouring energy explosion. The demonic light in the void exploded and collided with Gu Xiaoyang's Daluo astral seal. Seeing this, Yi Tsangyue also attacked. Wan giggled and said, Sister Tsangyue, don't you righteous cultivators hate bullying others with numbers? Wan waved her hand and shot out true qi to block Yi Tsangyue. On the other side, Yi Tsangshan raised his demonic edge sword and was about to attack Dugu Qiuma. However, a cold figure flashed and blocked in front of Yi Tsangshan. Princess Luoho, you. Yi Tsangshan was slightly stunned. Princess Luoho didn't seem to have anything to do with Dugu Qiuma, right? Furthermore, before the blood path opened, Dugu Qiuma seemed to have flirted with Princess Luoho. He saved my life before. Princess Luoho's eyes flickered under the mask. However, even she didn't believe this reason. Since when did Princess Luoho, who is known for being cruel and cold-blooded, know how to repay a debt of gratitude? Yi Tsangshan's face darkened. Although Princess Luoho couldn't defeat him, she could still hold him back. Moreover, if Princess Luoho unsealed her fate, she would be even more difficult to deal with. Yi Tsangshan might not be able to subdue her. Seeing Princess Luoho block someone for him, Dugu Qiuma was also a little surprised. However, Dugu Qiuma's most important enemy was right in front of him. Under my sword, you shall be executed. Gu Xiaoyang stretched out his hand and a beam of starlight shot out. It was the divine weapon of the 10 tribulations, the 7 stars illusionary god. He was determined to kill this guy who dared to offend him directly. Dugu Qiuma also released his killing intent. In the past, Yi Guqin had always been suppressed by Gu Xiaoyang. Even in the Tianhuang plain, he had to use all his strength and use the Eye of the Void to barely fight back. But now, just Yi Guqin's clone, Dugu Qiuma, was enough to fight against Gu Xiaoyang. Not to mention Yi Guqin's own strength. Who could compare to such a speed of improvement? Gu Xiaoyang, your life is mine. Chapter 1192. Dugu Qiuma no longer suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and his fighting spirit blazed like a raging fire. It was a hatred that was engraved into his bones. It was the determination to kill his enemy. It could be said that all of Yi Guqin's grievances originated from Gu Xiaoyang. Therefore, Dugu Qiuma wanted to fight Yi Guqin on behalf of Yi Guqin. Boom! Dugu Qiuma activated the Azura Divine Residence, and blood-red Azura Qi gushed out from the Divine Residence, making Dugu Qiuma look like a blood-soaked Azura. Gu Xiaoyang, give me your life. Dugu Qiuma wielded the God Devourer sword, and his figure turned into a blood-red afterimage as he thrust his sword at Gu Xiaoyang. You're courting death. Gu Xiaoyang coldly roared. He didn't expect that a mere Empire Heaven Pride would dare to take the initiative to attack him. Gu Xiaoyang wielded the 7-star illusionary god and displayed the emperor-level sword art of the Starry Sword Pavilion, the 1000-star pilgrimage sword art. The speed of his sword was extremely fast, and every ray of sword light froze in the void like a speck of starlight. In the end, Gu Xiaoyang struck out a total of 10,000 swords, which looked like a magnificent starry sky. But every speck of starlight contained terrifying sword chi that was enough to kill a divine-dwelling heaven pride. This 1000-star pilgrimage sword technique had been completely cultivated by Gu Xiaoyang to the perfection realm. Kill! Gu Xiaoyang swung his sword, and the starlight transformed into dense sword chi that burst out. The 10,000 specks of cold light arrived first, and then the sword was like a dragon. The 10,000 rays of starlight whistled as if they could shatter the earth. Dugu Chilma gathered his Azura chi and directly displayed the first 5 moves of the 13 demon swords. Blood Kill, Vanishing Shadow, Star Burn, Moon Slash, Sun Erode. The 5 swords were displayed at the same time, and sword light illuminated the world. This sword art originated from the demon sword Emperor Jitian, and its power was equally astonishing. Rumbling sounds shook the entire Azura bloody road, and the sword light illuminated the blood-red broken sky. The 2 swords collided, and the sound of metal piercing through stone and metal could be heard. Duguchio Mo felt a powerful impact sweeping over him, causing his arms to tremble slightly. As a heaven pride of the 6th layer of the divine dwelling, Gu Xiaoyang's strength was indeed extraordinary. However, Dugu was fearless in his pursuit of the devil. What's going on? Gu Xiaoyang was surprised. After the exchange of blows, although no cracks appeared on his 7 stars manifest god, it seemed to emit a mournful cry. His weapon is strange. Gu Xiaoyang narrowed his eyes. One had to know that Gu Xiaoyang's 7-star illusionary god was placed together with the famed sword of the Starry Universe Sword Pavilion, the 7-star Dragon Abyss. Nourished by the famed primordial swords, the power of the 7 stars manifest god was far stronger than that of ordinary 10th tribulation divine weapons. But in this collision, his weapon was actually at a disadvantage. Dugu Chilma was also surprised. However, he was surprised that Gu Xiaoyang's 10th tribulation divine weapon was so sturdy. He didn't know that Gu Xiaoyang's divine weapon had been nurtured by a real immemorial famed sword. It's a little strange, but you're too naive if you think you can rely on a divine weapon. Gu Xiaoyang brandished his sword while holding the Daluo astral seal in his hand. He pressed down on Dugu Chilma's head, wanting to use a powerful method to kill Dugu Chilma. Dugu Chilma's expression was ice cold as he used the God Devourer sword to block the 7 stars manifest god. Shortly after, he extended his hand and terrifying demonic light exploded, directly shattering Gu Xiaoyang's Daluo star seal. If it was the previous Dugu Chilma facing Gu Xiaoyang, he would at least be at an absolute disadvantage, if not directly suppressed. However, after evolving the Azura Divine Dwelling and reaching the 3rd layer of the Divine Dwelling, Dugu Chilma was able to contend with Gu Xiaoyang and not be at a disadvantage. On the other side, Wan who was entangled with Yi Yue, said in surprise, "Isn't his strength rising too fast?" Although Dugu Chilma was strong before, it was impossible for him to contend with Gu Xiaoyang, one of the 10 great Gongzi. But now, he could do it. Yi Yue's face was covered with frost. Only she knew that Dugu Chilma had obtained the inheritance of a sacred ruler expert. In addition, he possessed the demon emperor descending to the 9th heaven phenomenon. It was imaginable to what extent Dugu Chilma would grow in the future. If he was nurtured by the demonic extermination sect, it was unimaginable what kind of waves Dugu Chilma would cause in the South Horizon region. Therefore, the best outcome was naturally for Gu Xiaoyang to kill Dugu Chilma while he was still in his infancy. But unfortunately, Dugu Chilma, who had obtained the inheritance of a sacred ruler, wasn't someone that Gu Xiaoyang could kill. Evil Origin Puppet. Dugu Chilma raised his hand and struck out a powerful move. A black shockwave swept towards Gu Xiaoyang. Seeing this, Gu Xiaoyang gathered the star true qi in his body and condensed it into a starry sky seal in his palm. It was even more powerful than the Daluo astral seal. Star Emperor Seal. Gu Xiaoyang's aura rose. The starry sky seal pressed down as if it had the power to shatter mountains, rivers, sun, and moon. Dugu Chilma's aura was locked down. He couldn't dodge at all. The ground around him collapsed at the same time. Dugu Chilma's white hair fluttered. He also raised his hand and used the Great Devouring God technique. A black vortex appeared, as if it could swallow everything in the world. The Star Emperor seal smashed into the black vortex and burst out with boundless waves, shattering the surrounding ground. Not far away, the Azura Blood Sea set off huge waves and washed the sky. Rumble. As if the stars had exploded, the shockwave spread out and hit Gu Xiaoyang and Dugu Chilma at the same time. Dugu Chilma directly activated the third transformation battle god demonic body. Black demonic patterns spread on the surface of his body. His physical strength and defense instantly skyrocketed. The shockwave bombarded him, but it could only shake him. It couldn't hurt him. He stomped his foot on the ground and used imminent skyline. His figure instantly appeared in front of Gu Xiaoyang and slashed down with the god-devouring sword. Gu Xiaoyang blocked with his sword. With a clang, the two of them attacked with their swords so fast that they were like afterimages. Sparks and explosions continuously sounded. Yi Cangyue, Wan, and the others, who were fighting not far away, were shocked when they saw this. Yi Cangshan also frowned slightly and muttered to himself, I didn't expect him to have grown to such a level. Previously, Yi Cangshan didn't think much of Dugu Chilma and didn't take him seriously. But now, the combat strength that Dugu Chilma displayed surprised him. Damn it! Gu Xiaoyang's eyes were extremely gloomy. He didn't expect Dugu Chilma to be so difficult to deal with. Thinking of this, Gu Xiaoyang no longer held back and used his own sword principle. Vast sword intent spread out and seemed to turn his surroundings into a dazzling starry sky. However, this magnificent and vast starry sky contained fatal killing intent. It was Gu Xiaoyang's peerless star sword principle. Gu Xiaoyang raised his sword into the sky. Tens of thousands of sword lights flashed in the starry sky. Then, the stars shook and turned into boundless sword chi that swept toward Dugu Chilma. Peerless star sword principle. Dugu Chilma muttered to himself. In fact, his god-devouring sword also contained a creation-level sword principle, the devouring sword principle. However, Dugu Chilma couldn't comprehend it for the time being. However, Dugu Chilma could use the sword principle that Yi Guqin had comprehended. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.